And in our second intermission, I'll talk to the older brother of ex-Leaf Russ Courtnall. That's Jeff, a big star with Washington this season. Jim Taddy has highlights of a couple of other games around the league. The game here tonight is the Leafs against the Washington Capitals. They meet each other for the second time in less than a week. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on Global.
We love this game forever. Play to win right from the start. But what's the use in winning? Friends are torn apart. There's nothing halfway about it. That's always been our call. It says it all.
Here are three other games in the NHL tonight. The Montreal Canadiens, without the injured Bob Gainey and coming off a loss in Detroit, their first in 10 games, will host New Jersey. Detroit is at Chicago. The Leafs are 6 points ahead of the Blackhawks in the Norris division. And the Calgary Flames, 2 points back of Montreal in the overall standings, will host the Winnipeg Jets. Three other games in the NHL, and this one makes four between the Capitals and the Leafs. Now let's hear from Joe and Harry.
Thank you, Dave, and good evening, everyone. The Washington Capitals, after one of their traditional slow starts, have been one of the National Hockey League's hottest teams, 6-1-3 in their last 10. Here are the officials for tonight. Rob Chick, who's been officiating in the NHL since 1984. Ron Asselstein, the Bear, and our man from Hoboken, Pat DePuzzo, will work the lines. There's Pete Peters, the NHL Player of the Week. He's 3-0-1 in his last 4, including 2 shutouts. And Alan Bester, who has become the penalty shot kid in the National Hockey League after making it 3 for 3 with his denying of Greg Adams on Monday night, gets his second straight start in goal for the Leafs. And the Leafs have been very good when Bester's played back-to-back games over the course of this season as he tries to become the 500 mark. 6 and 7 on the season, and we're underway. Salming retreating back into his own zone. Ivan Korovo, the former Marley after it, kicking it free into the corner. Dave Christian with it. Christian leaves it back for Korovo. Korovo tied up, and Olczyk swinging it around the boards, but not out. Larry Murphy keeping it in with a weak shot wide. Boria Salming gets it up on the wing to Lehman with Gill, who takes his pass. Gill's drop pass knocked away by Christian. And here's Christian now giving it off to Gustafson ahead at center with Scott Stevens, a long shot. Bester leaves it there for Salming. Salming to Lehman. Lehman trying to work his way out. A pass ahead to Olczyk, 2-on-1 with Gill. And Olczyk's shot was high and wide. Ridley back at center for Washington. Across the line. Bumped into by Lehman. He feeds it back of the net. Kelly Miller after the loose puck. Olczyk trying to dig it free. Miller with it again. Here's Ridley. Back in back of the net. Bester cut it off. Olczyk couldn't help out. Miller stumbles and falls. This allows Olczyk to bring it to center. The Leafs looking for a line change. Lehman getting it across the zone as it's cleared back out. We played 1:20 of the first period. Iafrate circling in his own zone. Playing it ahead. Cut off there at the blue line by Courtnall in over the line. Mike Gartner a shot, and that went sky high after making contact with Al Iafrate's stick.
Well, Brian Murray, coach of the Washington Capitals. You can see he's been a successful one. He's the former athletic director at McGill University as well as the hockey coach. And I think this year is the year that Brian knows winning in the playoffs is more important than winning during the season. His team's going to make the playoffs. They haven't done any better in the playoffs than the Leafs. George Armstrong, I'm sure, is very happy the way his team played on Monday night in the 3-0 victory over Vancouver. That may have been the most disciplined defensive game they've played in quite a while.
Iafrate brings it to center. Domfus on the left wing. A pass into the slot. Tom Fergus closing in. Here's Marois. And getting there just in time was Steve Leach. Rod Langway digging the puck free, and Hatcher gets it ahead at center for Courtnall. Pass too far for Hunter. Bester out of the net. Cut off by Leach. Hunter trying to dig it free. Courtnall tied up in the corner. Hunter taken down on the play by Iafrate, and the puck's going to slide underneath him, but comes free to Fergus. Fergus at his own blue line. Rink wide to Kotsopoulos, and he'll deposit it deep into the Capital zone as the Leafs change in the goal. Glad you're along with us here on Global. Leafs and the Washington Capitals finishing off their season series as it is deadlocked at a win apiece. Bouncing puck to the far boards, and Dow turns. Luke Richardson, a bank pass for Gagne, and it is flipped over the boards by Larry Murphy.
Well, one change in the Washington Capitals, other than a little more offense, as Dave mentioned, and this guy's responsible for a big piece of the offense with 23 goals already, 10 on the power play. He was purchased from Edmonton for Greg Adams. And this is the first game back for Jeff after taking an awful wallop from Steve Conroy in the game against the New York Islanders last Saturday night.
He was a busy man one day there in the summer when he was playing for 3 different teams, wasn't he?
Well, he was signed by New York Rangers as a free agent, but traded by Edmonton when they found out he signed for the Rangers. And John Ziegler ruled that Courtnall was the property of the Washington Capitals, not the Rangers. And at that time, it disappointed Courtnall. But I talked to him today, and he's quite happy where he is.
I would think he would be.
And there's Jeff, not drafted when he played for Victoria as an overage player the year Russ, his brother, was drafted. Courtnall's got a great shot, and he's one of the better body-checking forwards in the league. Not often, but when he does, the guy he hits knows it.
And he's the bigger of the Courtnall boys, and he plays bigger as well. Face-off is controlled by Dow in the corner. The Land goes in to try and tie it up. Dragged to the ice by Francis Getty. Gould centering it in front of Shelley. Score! John Bruce. And Francis Getty did a great job in the corner and centered by Gould, and Bruce opens the scoring.
Well, that's a real bonus when your fourth line on their first shift of the game gets a goal. Some very shoddy defensive zone coverage by the Leafs. A good pass out and a very quick shot by John Druce. Here it is right here. 2 Leafs can't handle the 2 Capitals, and one of those 2 Leafs in front of the net ought to have been out further on John Druce, who was drafted 40th overall in 1985 from the Peterborough Peaks. And his coach, Brian Murray, thinks Druce is going to be a real valuable hockey player after he gets about 100 games under his belt.
Just his second goal of the season. It comes at 3:13, and the Capitals draw first blood. Dave Christian sending it in deep. Ivan Koroval after the loose puck as it's cleared up on the boards. And Olczyk flips it out to Lehman. He couldn't one-handed ahead. Todd Gill taken out along the boards by Koroval. And Christian unable to get that outlet pass. And Brad Marsh has it at his own blue line. Olczyk looking rink wide for Lehman. Lehman gets it across the line, making some moves as he works to the far board. Taken out by Grant Ledger. Gill unable to get it in front. And here's Gustafson getting it up for Christian off of his skate. Marsh slaps it back into Washington territory. And this is whistled down on the offside and will be brought back into the neutral zone. From Maple Leaf Gardens, this is Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
The toughest family in trucks just got tougher. Introducing the all-new 5.9-liter Dodge Cummins Turbo Diesel. The Ram Tough full-size Dodge with new anti-lock braking. And the new dual rear-wheel pickup. From Dodge, nobody's tougher on trucks. Chrysler, changing the landscape.
Washington Capitals enjoy scoring the first goal of the game. They're 17-7-3 when they have, and only 5-8-3 when they haven't. So they get off to a quick start.
Well, any team that's as strong as they are defensively, I don't mean just on defense, I mean as a team on defensively, the first goal is far more important than it is to a team that perhaps has a little more firepower. But I think the Capitals are a little more explosive this year than some of their opponents are giving them credit for, and they're going to be a force in that Patrick division come the playoffs. They have never had a home run hitter, and it's cost them 2 seventh-game losses. trying to win the Patrick division.
Now here's Gartner down the right wing and over the line. Mike Gartner rolls it in on goal. Bester clearing it aside. And Merwa, who had that great scoring chance early, tries to work it out. Ian Brady on the wing for Fergus. He kicks it but not out. Miller into the corner for Ridley. Cut off by Bester. Now Gartner looks in front, flips it to an open wing, and Merwa with a chance to bring it out. Bangs it ahead for Fergus. 2-on-2 with Domfus. Pass for Domfus, knocked away by an alert Larry Murphy. Here's Gartner's long shot. Land. Getting it ahead for Merwa. Rink wide for Fergus. Knocked it out of midair and now flips it in deep into the Capital zone. It's Scott Stevens' turn. Murphy. Pass going to the far left wing boards. Courtnall down the boards into the corner. Lance carries them in behind the net. Puck dug free. Loose and now tipped to the blue line and out as Tim Armstrong goes down to do some forechecking on the Secretary of Defense, Rod Langaway. Here's Laughlin, former Capital, getting it over to Land with a chance to shoot. And seeing that one all the way was Pete Peters. Hunter fails to clear it. Centered in front, and Armstrong had it knocked away there by Grant Ledger. Here's Courtnall to center for Washington. To Steve Leach, back in for Courtnall. He's dragged down by Lands, and the first penalty of the game from Rob Schick is going to go to the Maple Leafs. Rick Lands dragging down that young man, Jeff Courtnall.
This man has never had a traffic accident, but he's one of the most dangerous drivers on the road because he makes mistakes like this one without even knowing it. Did you spot it? Proceeding on a green light before checking for drivers who may be racing the light. But what's worse is that right now he may be about to make one of the most serious driving errors of his life.
Let's go driving.
He's going to teach his son everything he knows. Please, let a professional teach them to drive and survive.
Rick Lance takes a hooking penalty. It was a simple 2-on-2, and Lance didn't move over far enough and had to grab Courtnall as he went to the puck. You see right there, if Rick Lance gets in front of him, Courtnall can't go to the net. And if you go to the net without the puck with some enthusiasm, good things usually happen. Not always a goal, sometimes a penalty. And Washington's power play, which is 5th in the league, 58 goals, a chance to put them up 2-0.
Working against the 19th best penalty killing unit. That is up 2 notches from the other night when they were 21st. Here's Dave Christian. Pass for Guston. He's offside as he preceded the puck into the zone. Ben Gustafson. Ben Gustafson's a real talent. Remember, he went back to Sweden one year because he got sick of the National League. He's listed at 185 pounds. He weighs 206. And watch him tonight. Very tough to knock him off his feet. In 1987, the year he did go back to Sweden, he went back and was the captain of the Swedish World Hockey Championship team, which was the first time they'd ever won it since 1962. 30-year-old veteran. Capitals with 1:40 to go on the power play. Murphy had a bit of a tough time playing in Washington. The fans there have been on his case quite a bit. And another offside bogs the power play down at the Leaf blue line. 1.5 minutes left in it.
Dave Christian, the useful right winger, comes from a great hockey family from Warroad, Minnesota. His father and uncle played for the 1960 U.S. gold medal team at Squaw Valley Olympics. Dave played for the 1980 gold medal team at Lake Placid. He has 2 boys, and wait till they find out they're in charge of winning the year 2000 Olympics for the U.S.
A little pressure there.
A little pressure is right.
Only player in the NHL that's got a stick named after him.
Well, his dad and uncle run the Christian Brothers Stick Company in Warroad, Minnesota, and quite a few NHL players use it.
I know one that's on the ice that better be using one. Cleared down into the Leaf zone. Christian against the boards with Daou. Mars tries to pin him there. Now Ridley, good play by Reed to knock it away. Ridley took him down, but Mr. Schick, looking right at it, said no. Murphy at the point. Here's his shot. Good save extending to the split by Bester. Sent to the boards, but not out. Murphy to the point to Scott Stevens, feathering it in, and the deflection was just wide. Murphy against the boards, unable to keep it in, and it is sent down the ice. Christian with a good redirection there of that feathered half by Stevens. Hatsopoulos with a long shot. Blocking arm save made by Pete Peters.
The Capitals have great point shots from the blue line on their power play. Murphy, Stevens, Ledyard can shoot it. And when you're afraid of the point shot, boy, that opens up a lot of ice inside.
Here's Petrolia native Dale Hunter in front of shot, and that's blocked by Fester. And as he smothered it, it was dug free by Lofton, but the whistle had gone. 17 seconds left in the first penalty of the hockey game as Lands is in the box.
Dale Hunter, boy, he's an underrated playmaker. We all know about his character and how tough he is. Watch the nice little pass he gives Jeff Courtnall here. And Jeff Courtnall trying to go over Vester's shoulder, can't get it up high enough, fast enough, and Vester makes the save. One reason why Courtnall is having such a good start is this fellow right here, Dale Hunter.
When they got him last year, Harry, they thought that this was the gritty guy they were going to need, and he scored the biggest goal of the season to get them past the Flyers. But he certainly does provide that leadership. And if the offense will carry on, I agree with you. I think they're going to be very tough in that Patrick division.
Well, Hunter, he's one of the Hunter brothers from Petrolia. Their dad brought him up to be mean, miserable, and tough, and he is no exception.
That's a nice thing to say about Mr. Hunter.
I think he's the toughest of them all,
He is.
Mr. Hunter.
He had to be. He's a good person. Long shot in by Daou. And here's Langway turning. Langway getting it ahead. The penalty is over as Kevin Hatcher sends it in deep in the Leaf zone, and Salming turns with it now. Salming in back of the net. Salming upended, gives it to March. There's going to be a penalty here to the Capitals. Olczyk gets it out, and as Hatcher touches it, Olczyk is leveled by Hunter. There is Rob Schick with the first penalty of the game to the Capitals. The Leafs to the power play.
In this week's episode of Super Dave, you'll see scenes like this.
A little dance, a little song, a little more dance, and of course the Super One himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't adjust your sets.
Believe me, it's been a wild half hour.
Plus the weekly stunts.
It's very dangerous. It's a stunt that's never been tried before. It'll be in the Guinness Book of Records when I do it.
Global's got record-breaking laughs with Super Dave tonight at 10:30.
Right here on Global at 10:30, the Super Dave Osborne Show. Don't miss it.
There's Dale Hunter. 7 out of his first 8 years in the National League. He had over 200 minutes of penalties. He picks up another 2 for tripping Boreas Salming in front of the net. Here's the play. Hunter sticks his leg out. Now, I can tell you that the referee had that play called, and then he was hoping Salming would go down because Salming almost regained his balance. Nevertheless, the Leafs get a power play.
They are ranked overall 21st in the NHL. That's the bad news. The good news is here at Maple Leaf Gardens, they rise to the lofty position of 13th in the NHL when they're at home.
Well, Monday night, Joe, the win over Vancouver, you could say the power play got them the first goal, and that was the one that was the winner.
Salming off to Olczyk, closing in a shot, and diving in front of that was Kitchener's Scott Stevens to deflect that up into the crowd. There's Eddie Olczyk.
Well,
That's certainly been the big star for the Maple Leafs offensively.
That's a nice play, and he did something there that the Leafs haven't done often enough on their power play. When they get the puck into the man who's halfway up the boards on the circle, he has to start skating right to the net. If for no other reason to bring someone to him. If he stands there, that gives the Washington Board of penalty killers a chance to recover. Olczyk did that. He stepped off the side boards and had a pretty good shot, and Stevens made a good shot block.
There is the defensive-minded Washington Capitals and what they have been doing penalty-killing-wise. Ben Guston getting set to take the draw with Olczyk.
Not many guys don't use any tape on the blade of their stick. Another good one in his division doesn't, and who's that, Joe? One of your favorites? All Kaufman.
Very good.
Yep.
Probably went to Fred Bolitnikov to get some stickum, though. Here's Olczyk banking it to the boards, and Lands had headed down the blue line and couldn't keep it in. Lands in back of the net. Minute 19 left in the Leafs' first power play of the game. Pass ahead to Lehman. Lehman coming across center with Salming across the line. Salming banks it back of the goal. Now here's Gill leaving it for Lehman. Lehman back to Todd Gill. Gill plays it back to Gary Lehman. Hatcher trying to force him in behind the net. It goes to Gill again. Gill looking for Land. He'd like to get it into that slot, but so far hasn't been able to. Lehman down low. Lehman looking in front of the net. Salming it crept in. There's a shot by Lehman that's blocked, and the rebound is spun off the boards by Gould down the ice. The Leafs were 1 for 8 on the power play, so if they're 13th now, they would have been a little higher than that the other night. At least at home, as it is sent down into the Toronto zone. Half the period is gone. 1-0 Washington. 26 seconds left in this power play. Fergus. To Domfus on left wing. Ledger stumbled the centering pass. Mirwad just failed to tap it home. Miller finds an opening, and he ices the puck.
Washington is 11th in the penalty killing, and they're usually better than that. Sometimes that ranking isn't as important as the difference between your power play goals and the ones you've given up. Washington's a +18, 58-4, and they've only given up 40.
Fergus's shot is blocked. There's a rebound. Trying to knock it in on the short side was Domfus. And down the ice it goes, courtesy Langway. Icing will be called as the penalty has expired. And 9:15 remains to be played here in the period. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Hi, I'm Monty Hall for the Variety Club with some of the big hearts of show business. These are the talented entertainers who give their love and valuable time to help Ontario's handicapped and needy children. You can help too. Just watch and give generously to the 9th Annual Variety Club Star Time Telethon. A child's brighter tomorrow depends on you now.
The Variety Club Telethon, January 28th and 29th on Global.
Face-off coming to the left of Peter Peters, 31-year-old Edmonton boy. Fergus left it in along the boards, and Scott Stevens is there. The muscular defenseman brings it to center. Long shot into the Leaf zone. Caroms to the near boards for Ridley. He was knocked down by Luke Richardson, who was parading through. Fergus gets it out. Richardson has to retreat back in his own zone. Taken to the board. Now Richardson knocks down Mike Gartner, and now Gartner gives him a pretty good two-hand. Gartner laid the lumber on him as he was falling. Did he ever? And it'll be interesting how Rob Schick saw that. But Richardson, who I think had the original penalty, he gave Gartner quite a shot in the chin. So there will be penalties here with 8:46 left to go in the period. Gartner may get 5 minutes for that, Joe, and if so, that'll be the end of his act tonight. Rob Schick has got a bit of a decision in front of him here. That was a pretty good two-hander. We'll get another look at it here. Now, Gartner makes a good check on Richardson. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's one push. That's what Richardson got the penalty for. But watch what happens after that. As the puck's leaving the zone, Richardson comes over, and there's Gartner. Whoa, two-hander over the shoulder. Yep. That was very reminiscent of what he took against Dino Ciccarelli, although it kept on coming. Well, I think you got to give Gartner 5, and you might have to give Richardson a triple minor. Well, they're in the penalty box, although it is still being discussed here by the officiating staff. There's Luke Richardson. He will probably get a double minor for roughing. And Gartner, if he's given the 5, is going to be in with the warm water and the dry towels. Well, the linesmen now are helping Rob Schick out. Remember, the puck was leaving the zone, and the referee gets on his way to try and keep up with the rush. So the linesman perhaps will give him some assistance. Ron Asseltine, one of the veteran linesmen. 11:14. How are you at reading lips? Well, usually they tell Gartner. Yeah, he's gone, I think. He is discussing it. They're opening the door. Gartner's gone. Yep. And now, yes, he's pointing towards the dressing room. So Mike Gartner, the graduate of the Niagara Falls Flyers, is apparently heading for the dressing room. With 8:46 left to play in the first period.
Well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that he slashed Richardson on the shoulder. Very unlike Gartner.
Washington penalty, number 11, Mike Gartner, 5 minutes for slashing and the game misconduct. Toronto penalty, number 2, Luke Richardson, 2 minutes for roughing, a second 2-minute roughing, and 2 minutes for slashing. Time 11:14.
That's a busy night for Luke Richardson. He gets 3 minor penalties, and there's Brian Murray sending his captain over to plead the case.
Well, you know, a single fact spoils a lot of good arguments. And we saw the single fact very clearly. Brian Murray, who's got the worst vantage point in the rink, nevertheless, is going to make sure that Rob Schick knows he didn't appreciate it.
Now, Brian Murray's not one to get on referees' cases, is he?
He's the worst referee baiter in the National Hockey League.
Wheelchair behind you.
And Asseltine, who I think was very influential with Schick in the call, is now giving Brian an interpretation of the rule. Brian's saying, well, he hit him down below the shoulder. It's just a little tap. I could hardly hear it.
Here's another look at it again. Richardson with the initial shove, and Yahoo! Take that.
Well, it's one of the few two-handers I've seen when you don't have your feet on the ice. Nevertheless, it was a high stick. Now, had it hit Richardson in the face, there would have been an injury.
I can hear Brian's argument here. He was just trying to regain his balance. He lost his balance. However, Gardner's gone. Richardson is not hurt, but Luke is beginning to wonder about these stick attacks.
Now, Luke's worried he's going to foul the summer up. He might have to go to court again.
The bottom line is, of course, the Capitals lose the services of Gartner. They'll play even for the next 5 minutes, and then the Capitals get an abbreviated 1-minute power play.
Well, they're sure going to miss Mike Gartner. He's their most explosive forward, and he's really been on a tear lately. He's never had fewer than 35 goals, 5 years 40 or more, 9 years 30 or more. And he was just starting to go this year after a slow start.
And Rob Schick getting another word in for Brian Murray, and Mike Miller is going to come over and serve the penalty.
Rob Schick goes over and tells Murray, get your team ready or I'll give you another penalty. As it turns out, we're going to have a long siege of 4 against 4.
And this is a rarity, isn't it?
This is the rule Edmonton caused by being so successful in this situation that they came up with a coincidental penalty rule, but it doesn't count when one penalty's a major and the other 3 are minor.
Christian across the line, drop pass. There's a shot off the iron and into the crowd by Kevin Hatcher. You could hear the clink all the way up here. Kevin Hatcher with the wrist shot. Take a look at this. Besser low.
The defenseman coming late on the rush is a dangerous play. Very difficult for the defenseman to read it. It went off Katsopoulos' stick, off Bester, and off the crossbar.
That was on the way back down, wasn't it? Just seemed to be fluttering on the way down and then hit the crossbar and ricocheted up into the seats.
Well, Hatcher is having a great year. Leads his team in the plus-minus, and of course is becoming quite an offensive defenseman with 29 points so far.
People in North Bay will remember him with his play with the Centennials, a first-round pick, 17th overall for the Capitals in '84. Gustafson gets it in over the line, and it is cleared ahead. Here's Daou with a break. Gagne trying to catch up the shot, goes behind Peters, but out the other side. Salming in behind the net, tied up by Hatcher at 6'4" and 205. Gagne unable to get it around, and now here's Gustafson, forced into the boards by Daou. Gustafson digs it free, and Hatcher sends it over to his defensive partner, Rod Langway. Langway coming up ice to center. Right around Lance, who puts the grab on him, and the Capitals are going to go to the power play immediately. Rick Lance gets the holding call, and he'll argue it with Mr. Schick as well. But the Capitals remain in the lead, 1-0.
Guess who forgot to play their Lotterio numbers? There's no telling when your numbers may come up. So don't forget to play every week.
Rick Lance gets 2 minutes for holding. Took his right hand off his stick and put it right around Rod Langway. How can Lance complain about that penalty, Joe?
Well, that was better tackling than the Chicago Bears provided the other day.
Langley was a great college linebacker at the University of New Hampshire and thought seriously of playing pro football before he got into pro hockey. So he's been on the end of those tackles before.
Here's Courtnall across the line. Back to the point. Murphy over to Stevens. A pass in front. Here's Murphy teeing it up, and he whistled it wide. Boy, was he in good shooting position. Olczyk looking to get rid of it, dragging it a little bit and flipping it down the ice. Leafs are 2 men short. Capitals 1.
Well, Brian Murray dressed 5 defensemen and 13 forwards, so he will be able to have 4 lines with the departure of Gartner.
Murphy back to the point. Ridley on to Murphy. Murphy turning back. Ridley heads for the side of the net. Scott Stevens with the puck. Stevens moving it in. Now to Murphy. Same spot. Gives it to Courtnall, and he one-timed it wide. Stevens. Back to the point. Over to Courtnall, and he banned on a one-time effort, and it is slipped by Marsh down the ice with 40 seconds left in the Lambs minor.
Washington controls the puck, but hasn't had a good chance at all on this 4-against-3 skater situation.
Gustafson comes to center. Cross the line. Flipped in along the boards. Cleared by Olczyk to center. And Hatcher must retreat to his own blue line. 20 seconds in the power play. Hatcher across the line. Still with that puck. Stolen by Olczyk. And a penalty coming here will go to the Washington Capitals as Eddie Olczyk got spun around after almost stealing the puck from Hatcher.
Washington very careless on this power play situation. That one nearly cost them a breakaway, and they had to hook Olczyk to make sure he didn't get it. Here's the play right here. Hatcher fooling with the puck, and you can see Olczyk lifted his stick. And then Hatcher laid the stick on him. I think there was a bit of a dive in that one. Nevertheless, Hatcher will serve a tripping penalty, and that will wipe out the 4-on-3 advantage the Capitals have had. The Capitals have the biggest defense in the league, 6'3", averaging 208 pounds. Joe Gibbs could have used them at times this year with the Washington Redskins.
14 seconds left in the Lance minor, and then the Leafs will gain the power play. The boys down in the penalty box area earning their keep tonight. They've had more numbers up on that board during this period than they've had for most of the season. Gustafson going back. Scott Stevens now with it. Stevens goes back to the goal. Lays it up on the left wing for Gustafson. Gustafson gets it down the ice just as Lance returns. So the Leafs are on the power play, their second, trailing 1-0 on the John Bruce goal.
So they have a good long stretch here, a minute 34 seconds with 4 skaters against 3.
Iafrate trying to send it over, just does get it to Lance. Lance to Iafrate. Now Iafrate to the corner to Domfus. Fergus moving into the goal mouth area. It goes to Lance. A quick shot blocked. Rebound lay in front. And it'll be cleared off the glass by Stevens down the ice. Lance circles the net with a minute 6 left to go on the power play. Domfus. Bang to the boards by Langway. Iafrate moves it in. Here's Fergus all alone in front, and the pass was deflected off of Stevens' stick. Fergus now coming from the side, and he shot it off the side of the net wide. Gets it into the slot. Lance doesn't shoot. Will Iafrate? Yes, and a kick saved by Peters, who was very deep in his net. Iafrate at the point. Domfus back to Al Iafrate. There's the shot. Right on, and Stevens kicked that aside. And it is cleared down the ice.
No Leaf in front of the net. You know, when you're 4 against 3, if you'll just go and stand in front of the net, you'll force one of their defensemen to take you. Now they're 3 against 2 with all kinds of ice to work on.
Lehman gets a bit of a pick there from Iafrate as he gains the zone. Into the side of the goal area. Lehman sets up, Kotsopoulos on the ice, takes his pass, closing in, and a good pass save again from Peters. He's made 3 saves, Harry, where his skates have almost been on the goal line. He's been very deep in the net. Salming. Penalty has expired to Gartner, so now the Capitals are on the power play for 49 seconds. Lehman going back into his own zone. To Olczyk, and it's lifted down the ice. Peters plays it ahead to Hunter. Dale Hunter, left wing pass for Courtnall, trying to get it ahead for Christian. He will keep it in as Murphy. Murphy on the board. To Courtnall. 20 seconds left in the power play. The Capitals third. Courtnall to Murphy, right at the side of the net. And his pass went whistling past Dale Hunter down the ice. That's just about going to do it. Courtnall to Hunter. One last rush. Courtnall blocked initially, brought it in over the line. Shot is deflected wide, and Richardson's out of the penalty box. So all of that work in the penalty box does not result in a power play goal by either club. Dow with Reed trying to get back into the attack. The pass back is knocked into the corner. Ledger can get it in up on the wing, and now Christian will work it up. His pass for Courtnall. Knocked away, Lachlan. Trying to work his way clear. Got it ahead for Reed, but it comes out in center. 2:17 left to play in the first period. The Capitals leading 1-0 on a goal at 3:13 of the period by John Bruce, his second of the year. Icing indicated here by linesman Pat Capuzzo, and it'll be brought back into the Washington zone.
Well, Pete Peters has been a busy man, handling 11 lead shots and 8. He led the National League last year in the goals against average with a 2.78, and he's a 1.42 in his last 5 games. Probably the reason why he was the player of the week. Here's a deflected shot that he saves when the puck hit Rod Langway. And he makes another one here from Chris Kotsopoulos. I think it is on a point-blank shot.
Look how deep he was in the net, taking both of those shots.
And here's the one I was thinking about. Kotsopoulos makes a good shot. There's a big rebound. Number 10, Miller, grabs it and gets it down the ice. And Pete Peters has really been a force for the Capitals in the last 10 games.
Former Vezina Trophy winner who had that huge season in Boston before leading the Canada Cup contingent. Here's Fergus with a wrist shot that is blocked. And here is the goal scorer on the game, John Bruce, coming in over the line. Banging in against the boards. Francis couldn't get it in front. Iafrate turns. Iafrate getting it ahead to Domfus to Fergus. Across the line, left for Marois, and it's cleared by the Capitals to center ice. The Capitals play extremely good team defense, and much of it is the forwards being very, very disciplined. Here's Domfus trying to get away from Francis who lays the lumber on him. Marois back of the net, couldn't get it into the goal mouth, and it's cleared up on the wing. Mark keeping it in, no. Had it out, brought it back in offside. Ron Asseltine was right there on the line and made the call. I guess it's my kick at the cat today, Mr. Neal. I trust you won't be too upset when I tell you that this telecast is protected by copyright and is intended solely for the non-commercial entertainment of our viewing audience. Any use, reproduction, or distribution in whole or in part of the pictures or descriptions herein contained without the express written consent of Polestar Communications and the Global Television Network is strictly prohibited.
Scott Stevens, what a build this guy has. When he has a muscle spasm, they measure it on the Richter scale. That kid played Junior B 1 year, Junior A the next year at Kitchener, in the National League the next year. Most players who jump from junior to the National League have at least played 2 years of Major A. Shows you the natural talent Scott has.
Then he ran into a slump because there wasn't another league. Back into the Leaf zone. Bester kicks the shot from Murphy away, and Lehman chips it on the boards to center. Paul Morris informing us of the time left in the period as Todd Gill starts back for Toronto. Gives off to Brad Marsh, who sends it back to Salming. Salming has to scoot in back of the net to get it ahead to Olczyk, who was just able to get it out. Murphy to Stevens again. Marsh must go back into his own zone with 36 seconds left in the period. Gustafson keeping it in. Ivan Korovo tied up on the boards. Marsh again with the loose puck. Todd Gill trying to work it out and does. Loose puck to Courtnall. Missed a check from Salming and drive, and Pester stopped that. And his tennis game needs a little work. He missed it with the goal stick. Lehman across the blue line, and Gill's going to bring it in offside with 7 seconds remaining in the period.
Well, you can see that Jeff Courtnall, like his brother Russ, can really shoot the puck. He made a very nifty move to pull it by Salming, and that was a tough stop. Whenever you see a goalie make the save on a shot 20, 25 feet and can't catch it, that puck's really going.
Here's what we have in store for you during our first period intermission. I'm looking forward to he suspended, he scores. Eddie Olczyk, of course, in the studio. Dave Hodge bringing us up to date on everything going on in the National Hockey League in his own entertaining way. 4 seconds left in the first period, and Rod Langway will kill off the clock, bringing the period to a close. And Pete Peters, who is no stranger to shutouts, has done it again this period.
Well, the Leafs were outplayed for a while, but in the last 8 or 10 or maybe even 12 minutes, Pete Peters was the difference between the score being 1-0 or 1-1. And if Toronto can play the rest of the game like they played the last half of the first period, they got a good chance of picking up at least a point, maybe 2 tonight.
So as the Leafs head to their dressing room, the score at the end of the first period is the Washington Capitals 1, the Toronto Maple Leafs no score.
Referee Bill Friday drops the puck, and the Stanley Cup 1967 finals are underway.
Great hockey classics, now on video for fans to enjoy the incredible pace of the pre-expansion NHL.
This is Danny Gallivan at the Montreal Forum for the first game of the fun. This series shapes up as a goaltending duel, Vachon versus Sawchuk. And of course, it's always a coaching battle when Toe Blake meets up with Punch Imlach.
Relive the excitement of hockey's greatest rivalry, the Leafs versus the Canadiens. Join Gallivan and Hewitt with their play-by-play of the '67 Stanley Cup playoffs. You will see the great stars, Keon, Beliveau, Bauer, Mahavlich, Richard, and Ellis. Just a few of the outstanding players of the '60s.
It's all over. The Toronto Maple Leafs have won the Stanley Cup.
Get your copy of the Stanley Cup 1967, only $19.95 plus handling. Use your credit card and call 1-800-387-3891. That's 1-800-387-3891.
Friends acting funny? Maybe it's your breath. Now there's new Minty Bones dog biscuits. Mint-flavored biscuits that put the bite on bad breath and clean your teeth. Because like all Milk Bone biscuits, each crunch helps scrape away food particles and plaque that can cause bad breath. New Minty Bones dog biscuits, with the cool taste of mint that everybody loves. Minty Bones by Milk Bone, a tasty way to clean their teeth.
A low-scoring game was expected. Thus far, that's what we have seen. Rookie John Bruce has the only goal as Washington leads the Leafs 1-0. The Leafs did outshoot the Capitals 11-8. The Leafs got 2 goals from Ed Olczyk on Monday as they beat Vancouver 3-0. A couple of weeks ago, there was a story going around that Ed had taken out his own personal highlight film and looked back at some better days, some goals going into the net, and tried to get some inspiration or help from that. Obviously, it worked, whether we want to credit that or not.
Well, things weren't going very well. I wasn't playing very well for about 4 or 5 games. I always tape the games, and I try to look and see what I do wrong and what I do right. And a situation where the 4 or 5 games I really wasn't skating, I wasn't getting involved, not necessarily physically, but just getting the puck and trying to make things happen. And I put together a tape just of good things that I've done, not only by offensively, but good defensive plays and killing penalties. And, you know, it seemed to work, and hopefully continue to work as hard as I can and be fortunate enough to play with Gary Lehman, who's a great talent. And you know, we've had lots of left wingers, but we hope Ozzie gets back real soon because you know, he's a big part of our team.
What did you notice on the tape? What were you doing?
Well, I wasn't driving to the net. Every time I'd make a pass, I'd kind of look and see where it was going instead of trying to jump into the play. Like a lot of times I get the puck at our blue line, move it up to Gary, whoever's on the left wing, and watch it and coast. But try to, instead of, follow my pass, what I'm trying to do is just go and just continue to go to the net.
Well, you get 6 power play goals. Maybe you ought to look at those and try to figure out what the power play needs. What do you think?
Well, I think it's just mostly confidence, and it helps when you have the same 5 guys going the ice time in and time out. And I think it's starting to come around. We're getting some good opportunities. But all it is, it's hard work. That's all it is.
It's hard to adjust a power play technically. We heard about shorter, crisper passes, and you can do that and still not score, obviously. You said confidence, and I really think that teams that know they're going to score find a way to score. Teams that think they're going to score, no.
And make excuses. And you could see, teams know we're struggling on a power play, and they seem to be more aggressive on us tonight. Washington's being very aggressive whenever the puck would be on the boards. They seem to be jumping us a lot, and that's what you do when a team's struggling. You want to get on them even when they have the man advantage.
Now, I asked Gary Lehman this the other night. You as the center perhaps had even more contact with Todd Gill as a left winger. Have you tried to leave him alone or tell him how to do things up there?
Well, Todd, I made a comment after the other night. If you were new coming to the game and you knew a little bit about hockey, you really wouldn't tell he was out of place. Todd works hard. I'm sure he's going to be in our lineup as a defenseman in the future, and he's doing a great job filling in. And pretty much we're leaving him alone. We're just saying whenever you get a chance, just come up with us and just, be creative. There's nothing like stay on your boards or do what you want, and I think that's what makes it so effective.
You are something of an unofficial spokesman, I think it's fair to say, for this team, at least from the players' room. How does the team feel about the Al Secord situation? Is that something you leave to management, or do you try to get involved, or do you have sympathies one way or the other?
Well, it's kind of personal with myself and Al because we played together in Chicago, and I watched him when I was growing up, and he really works hard, and things, right now are a little tough for him, but I know he can still play in this league, and he's having a tough time right now, and it's not really, you say, you read the papers and all that kind of stuff, but that's up to management. It's kind of a one-on-one between Al Secord and management, so, we don't know what's going to happen, but Al's a great guy. He works really hard, and, that's all you can ask of anybody.
Thank you, Ed. Ed Olczyk, who does play every game, and as we said, usually scores. Twice on Monday, not so far tonight. The Leafs still looking for their first goal. The Capitals have theirs. NHL Primetime is next. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Hi, we're here with McDonald's and Global's Ontario Money Mania game. And the winners are rolling in.
Congratulations to 18-year-old Denise Beauregard of Toronto. She's $25,000 richer playing Ontario Money Mania.
Be sure to pick up your Money Mania game card daily at McDonald's in Ontario. And then watch Global weeknights from 7:20 to 7:30. Right after Wheel of Fortune, there are more $25,000 prizes available to be won. It could happen to you.
If the NHL wonders why people laugh when it announces its disciplinary action, it might want to think about what happened 2 days ago. The NHL handed a 3-game suspension to Jim Korn of the New Jersey Devils for his hallway punch-up with Boston coach Terry O'Reilly, who received 4 games. That night, the same Jim Korn, who had been suspended for 3 games, scored 2 goals as the Devils beat the New York Rangers 5-4. Now, educated fans know how these things work. Korn wasn't suspended immediately because the Devils reserved their right to appeal his sentence. They probably won't appeal it, mind you, but the process allows them to decide which 3 games he will miss. The question is, why should the Devils get any break at all in that regard? It's hard not to chuckle when you read a headline that says, "Suspended player paces key victory." The answer is almost too simple because it requires the NHL to do what it only pretends to do, and that is get tougher. The NHL should make all suspensions take effect immediately, except those that will definitely be appealed. You should know that teams incur significant costs for summoning governors to an appeal hearing, so that wouldn't be done frivolously. The way it is now, the NHL announces the suspension and then tells the team, let us know how you decide to minimize its impact. It's like receiving a jail term and telling the court you'll serve it as soon as your holiday in Barbados is finished. Next, we'll look at other scores in the NHL. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Time for lunch at Red Lobster. Choose from 8 mouth-watering dishes at an incredible $4.95. We guarantee your favorite lunch served in 15 minutes or it's free.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
Red Lobster presents Party Platters to Go. Before the big game, pick up platters of shrimp and crab claws ready to go in 1 hour. Great for any party, anytime.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
Shell would like you to help judge the quality of our service. Our attendants have been trained in the fine art of customer service to provide satisfaction at every turn. We've been working with them closely and rewarding their efforts. Quality service by any score. That's why the move is on to Shell.
Shell, the move is on. Way to go, Canada. Way to go, Canada. Way to go, Canada.
What happened? I have no idea.
Construction site at the corner of the crane collapsed. Cops said there are a lot of injuries.
I'll get my bag.
This week on Heartbeat.
There's a trapped teacher at term. Gravid of 5 with a history of precipitous labor.
What about even Joanne? You just gonna leave him there?
We're doing the best we can. They knew the risk when they went in there.
There's a baby, huh? Oh, had a beautiful baby. Oh.
Heartbeat. Global's got it Thursday at 10.
Next on Global is next Monday when the Hartford Whalers visit Maple Leaf Gardens. The Whalers, featuring hardworking Kevin Dineen, will play the Leafs 7:30 next Monday night, live right here on Global. We promised you scores. We didn't promise you goals because there aren't any yet in Montreal, where they played a scoreless first period. Sean Burke back in action in goal for New Jersey, and more importantly, back in top form, it would seem, from the last few games. Burke against Brian Hayward without a goal yet in Montreal. Detroit and Chicago are playing. The Blackhawks are the worst road team in the NHL. Only 3 of those 11 victories have come away from Chicago Stadium, but they're at home tonight to the Detroit Red Wings. And the Calgary Flames are at the Saddle Dome, where they have lost just once all season, and they will play a Smythe Division game against the Winnipeg Jets. 3 other games, only 1 underway, and no goals elsewhere. Just 1 here by rookie John Druce as Washington leads the Leafs by a score of 1-0. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
You've got to have the equipment, you've got to have the training in order to properly fix the car.
Robert Taggart is a tune-up specialist for Goodyear.
Well, this computer, by hooking the leads up onto your engine, I can diagnose from everything from your battery straight back through to your fuel system. Check out every component, every piece, to make sure it's operating properly and working properly together.
The Goodyear Diagnostic Tune-Up. Signed, sealed, and certified by Goodyear.
I know exactly where the problem is, exactly where to go, and exactly what to do to cure it.
Please, I need your help.
The time will come when the running must stop. When threats become more than you can possibly bear.
See, he's gonna walk right across the room, and he's gonna take out a pistol.
And the time comes to get even.
You see, I know what it's like. I've been there.
The time comes to equalize.
From this moment, you are under my protection. And from this moment, you are under my protection.
The Equalizer, 9 p.m. Sundays. Waltech quality sinks and faucets in a full range of contemporary designs and colors. Ask for the dependable products professional plumbers choose time after time. Waltech sinks and faucets. Promotional consideration by Leo Chevalier.
The caller.
The cup. The look of a winner. Leo Chevalier.
Here's a look at what went on in that first period as John Drew scored his second goal of the season at 3:13. Bob Gould and Lou Franceschetti got the assists. The Leafs from about that point on or a little thereafter started to take control of the period, out shooting the Capitals 11-8, but trail 1-0 heading into the second period.
Some good forechecking by Washington and some not so good defensive zone coverage. See, 2 Leafs, 2 Capitals, but then the 2 Leafs that were standing by themselves out in front of the net, neither one of them thought of getting a little closer to Drews. And before they got there, he put it in.
The other low light of the period was this. Shove and hi, how's your stick doing from Mike Gartner.
Well, Gartner had taken Richardson out behind the net, and Richardson had given Gartner 2 shots. The last one knocked him down, and halfway down, Gartner decided to lay the lumber on Richardson, and for that, he's out of the game.
So the Capitals without their veteran, Mike Gartner, who arrived with 18 goals and 18 assists, 36 points. There's Todd Gill, and one would have to think that with John Kordick and Mark Osborne set to return, that this might be that young man's last day of experimenting on left wing.
I'm not so sure of that, because I think he's better than some of the other fellows that are playing left wing, and if George Armstrong thinks Osborne and Kordick are going to go right in and play left wing, which he probably thinks, there'll be some candidates ahead of him to go to the press box.
And when they do come back, there's going to be a lot of extra people in that press box. As Pete Peters, who had a very solid first period, picking up where his Player of the Week laurels left off with a shutout performance.
Peters has been watching the NFL. He's got those short sleeves on. And Alan Bester, who had no chance on the goal to beat him, had 8 capital shots and looked pretty sharp, and this is 4 periods in a row where he's been at the top of his game.
Also had the good fortune of having that crossbar stand in the way of a Kevin Hatcher shot. As the referee Rob Schick and his officiating crew of Ron Asseltine and Pat DePuzzo get things organized for the start of the second period. I guess we're not going to get any of those hot dogs sent up, eh?
The fellow on the left is Dick Patrick. He's the president of the Washington Capitals, and he's sitting right beside the bench. So he'll find out what actually does go on right down there on the bench.
Well, he's probably got enough extra cash to get out to Tim Huff's hot dog stand and get us some. Shot down wide into the lead zone. Bester clears it over on the boards for Gill. Gill comes out at center. Horrible. Who has really struggled in his sophomore season. He had a very good rookie season, was one of the top plus-minus players on the Capitals, but he struggled this time around. Hasn't been in the lineup all that often lately, but is playing here tonight. Horrible into the corner along with Christian. Horrible behind the net. Center. Left there by Salming and almost tapped in by the ever-present Ben Gustafson. Here's Olchek, unable to kick it in over the line. Gill proceeded to play. Lehman has to wait for him to get out. Drop past Gill, and he won't get it away. Loose puck still in that zone, and Salming unable to keep it in. Olchek. Pass ahead for Gill, cut off by Scott Stevens. In over the line, a race for the puck. It's rolling to the empty net. John Bruce has got his second goal of the game.
Well, the first one was a good shot. The second one was a poke check as he beat Alan Bester to the puck and just tipped it past him on a play where Washington were making a line change. Right there, a one-handed backhand goal. You don't see many of those in the National League, and young John Drews, playing close to his old junior town of Peterborough, putting on quite a show here for the Capitals. And an early goal is a tough one for the Leafs to swallow because the Leafs have played pretty good hockey. Bester lost the race, and it's 2-0.
He had 32 goals in Binghamton last year. This is his third in the National Hockey League, and his second of the game.
Bester's a little upset with himself, you know. My guess is that Bester changed his mind. He decided to go out. He decided not to. Then he went out. And when you do that, you're a half a step later than you would have been. And that's all he needed to do, was get there a split second sooner, and the score would still be 1-0.
You can't be indecisive. When you decide to go, you got to go full bore, because if you get out there and stop, you're dead. And that's exactly what happened with Alan Bester on that occasion.
I think the case there, Joe, is if you're undecided, don't go.
Exactly.
But it's easy for you and I to say up here what we should do.
Brady trying to bring it in over the line, tied up. And now here's Gould lifting it right back into the Leafs zone. In the 3-0 win against the Leafs in Washington, the Capitals scored a goal in each period. They've kept that up in this one. Here's a chance for Brady, but he can't move it to his forehand. Taken down in the corner by Hatcher. Loose puck. Shot it high and wide. Another chance. Domfus couldn't kick it ahead. Gould. Lead pass for Leach, but it'll be an icing call instead, as it is touched by Rick Lands, and we've got a bit of a confrontation in front of that Leaf bench.
I think the Washington player, I can't see who it is from here, got caught in the middle of a Leaf line change. And the guys on the Leaf bench wouldn't let him into the bench, and the guys coming on wouldn't let him back into the play. I don't think there's going to be any penalties that come of it. It was just a traffic jam, or there was one too many hockey players near the train station.
And so the scrum breaks up as Bob Gould is allowed to get to the right bench, and he'll get a replacement as George Armstrong looks over that list. With 17:45 left to play in the second period, and his troops trail 2-0.
Well, you know, Armstrong 4-5-1 since he took over.
Who are these guys?
Chicago Blackhawks scouts. They like to come incognito till their team gets squared around.
Face off to the right of Peters. You and I should go out and get a face job like that. What do you think? You look nice for the opening.
You're leaving yourself wide open. I'm going to decline that penalty.
All right. Here's Hunter across the line with a long shot over top of the net. Richardson bangs his man to the boards. The puck still free. Hunter couldn't get it cleanly in front. Stevens to drive through traffic, and it's wide of the net. Reed outlets to Richardson. Richardson to the blue line. Here's Lockman going to the front of the net, and it rolled off the heel of his stick. Stevens makes some pay for it with a good hit on the boards. Hunter, poke check by Lockman, but he can't control it. At center ice, it's Leach. Across the line, Portman moving into the slot, but Leach is well covered for the time being by Richardson. And it is dug free, and out come the Maple Leafs with Tim Armstrong. Rink wide for Lands. Lands to the blue line and over, makes the move on Murphy. Lands in the corner, hits the side of the goal with his centering pass. Now caught up with Murphy in traffic on the boards, and Jeff Courtnall is away on the left wing. Player change coming up, so Courtnall decides to lift it into the Leaf zone. Quick pass for Loughlin at center. Reed couldn't help him out. Armstrong with Ridley. The pass ahead for Reed, and whistle down on a two-line pass. The 16-22, and Dave Reed and his mates trail by a pair.
Just because you have a cold doesn't mean you have to feel this way. Contact C helps relieve the sneezing and stuffiness and helps you get on with your day.
John Druce 2 and the Maple Leafs nothing. As the Capitals hold the lead. Lead pass for Gill. Gill trying to get around Hatcher. Gill gets it to the side of the net. He centered it, and Marsh arrived just a stride too late. Loose puck bounces into the goal mouth, and it is iced now by Miller.
See, Todd Gill is a bit of a threat on a one-on-one rush, as he proved on that play. And a lot of the other left wingers on the Leafs don't have a chance of beating the defenseman. Brad Marsh, who's played a lot of hockey and a lot of good hockey for the Maple Leafs this season, you have to wonder whether he can play with the consistency and the intensity he has played in the first 40 games in the last 40. They use him, I think, more than any other defenseman, and he's, of course, one of the older ones, although he's in great shape. but he doesn't take many easy strides.
No, he doesn't. He's played in every game, and he's been busy, as you mentioned. Still looking for his first goal in a Maple Leaf uniform, and was about a stride late, or maybe 6 years late for that one. Here's Lehman now with Olchek, a shot, and he went for the short side top shelf and missed the net. Marsh trying to keep it in. That caught Ridley up in the chest. Now here's Miller in over the line, and the shot caroms off of Salming and goes up over the boards. The Miller boys, one M-I-L-L-E-R and the other A-R.
Well, you're looking at the North End Blues, and they blocked more shots up there than anybody on the ice has tonight. And young Miller, Kelly Miller, a former Michigan State University graduate, he was on the All-American academic team both years, had been for 2 years at Michigan State. He was a line mate of Craig Simpson. And you can see there's something to say about his stamina. And the coach, Brian Murray, thinks this kid's going to be a pretty good hockey player down the road, as he also says about Bruce and hopes about Corrival.
Hatcher loses it. Tip pass for Domfus. Trying to work on Lineway, one of the best one-on-one defenders. The pass was intended for Fergus, but didn't work. Gustafson to Hatcher. Back for Lineway. Releases to Corrival. Ivan Corrival in over the line. Trying to flip it in front. It's going to roll in on Alan Bester, and with Dave Christian there, Allen wisely decides to hold on for a face-off in the Toronto zone. 2-0 Washington.
Corrival gets a nice opportunity to get going tonight, playing with Gustafson and Christian in Gartner's spot. And he ought to get a couple of chances playing with those two guys. And they had a 3-on-2 there on a nice breakout pass, about a 50-footer from Rod Langway.
Why do they seem to have the sophomore jinx in a situation like that, Harry? A good rookie season and then struggle the second time around a little bit.
Well, that's not uncommon at all for a teenage NHLer. And the thing is that the first time around, they don't know as much about you as you do about them. The second time around, they want to see if you can do it a different way. And some guys have to learn that their little junior tricks that work early in their NHL career don't after the first year.
There's Iafrate. Spinning to try and get away, was knocked down. Loose puck in front, and Bester just did get enough of that to prevent Gould from getting a good chance. Stevens at the point of shot. Redirected. Mirwald's ahead of center, and he stumbled over the red line.
Too bad young Mirwald would have been in alone, and now we see John Bruce hurt.
Here's Domfus in over the line, and it is blowing dead. After the Capitals got control of it, John Bruce is down. Daniel Marois is wondering if they put some sandpaper on that red line during the intermission.
Well, he's not the first hockey player to fall when he gets a good chance. It looked to me like Drews took a high stick from somebody.
Yeah, he appears to be bleeding.
In a what looked like a fairly harmless collision, but you can see it wasn't quite as harmless as I thought. And Drews, who has both goals, is now probably going to get a chance to visit the first aid room. He's going to get everything done tonight.
I get the full tour of the Gardens anyway.
Well, it always looks way worse than it usually is. Here, let's have a look and see what. There's Drews, 19. Back checking. Marois goes down. He trips on the leaf. I should have raked that some earlier. And as the turn comes right here, Drews gets hit by his own player, Francis Shetty.
And that appeared to be a shoulder, and maybe the face mask or whatever may have cut him.
Let's have a look.
Take
Drews,
another eye.
Here it is. Fergus gets out of the way, and a whappo, a left forearm from Francis Shetty hits Drews right in the face. I think he's going to be all right. He's going to tell Francis Shetty, look, I'm new in the league. I have enough trouble looking out for the other team. I don't want to have to look out for one guy in my line. Get your radar fixed.
But nice hit.
I was but a blip. And now I am a drip.
Boy, am I ever glad you said that. John Bruce with a bit of a bloody nose.
And he came to the game with a shiner. Boy, his mother's not going to like the looks of them, but she's going to like the looks of those two goals.
Yep. Things looking good in Peterborough, where the Bruce family, if they're not in the building tonight, are looking on. Here is Leach, slipping it deep and too deep, about 16 rows deep into the goal seats. A face-off being brought back out into neutral ice. Steve Leach of Cambridge, Mass.
And quite a prospect, too. Played for the Olympic team. His brother is the assistant coach for the Hartford Whalers, Jay Leach. I'd like to be in on some of their conversations, talking about teammates and opponents.
Craig Laughlin looking for Reed, banking it. Can Reed get to the puck? Here's Richardson, a shot. And Peters was out at the top of his crease on that occasion and denied Richardson. Here's Courtnall in over the line. Left it into the corner. Knocked away by Reed. Laughlin gets it out. And Armstrong does a bit of a pirouette trying to get a glove on it to fail. Laughlin with it again. Backhands to the Washington blue line. Grant Ledyard. Rink wide for Langway. Ahead to Hunter. Right side for Leach. Stolen. Courtnall gets it across the line. Richardson spun him around with a pretty good shoulder. And now Courtnall decides to get a shot at Richardson on the way to the bench. He's got a few people going after him tonight.
Good. That's a good sign. He must be doing something to antagonize the opponent.
Armstrong in center with Laughlin. Tried to reach it in. Laughlin spins it back of the net. Larry Murphy with Gill after it. A bit of a hit there from goaltender Peters on the way through in his forechecking. Ridley to Miller. Backhanded in. Bester leaves it for Brad Marsh. On the boards for Lehman. 2-0. Here's a loose puck in front. Miller almost had a chance there. Lehman in the corner. Body to the boards. Kelly Miller after the loose puck. Here's Ridley looking in front for Mike Miller. A centering pass, and it pops up into the catching net of Alan Bester. With 12:42 left to play in the second period. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
The time is right. Oh, it's her fun. There's snow on the hills. Go on and take a run. Everybody fooling around. Just having fun. It's the silver bullet. It's the right beer now. The right time. The right time. The right beer. The right beer. Coors Light. Coors Light right here.
Catch the lights right. Taste of Coors Light.
Hold on to the silver bullet. It's the right beer now.
John Bruce has both of those Washington goals. And the Capitals have taken over the shot on goal lead, 14-13. A goal check and Lehman come to center. Olczyk going to the net. Gill is alone in front. The pass roll right in the goal off of the shin pad of Christian, and a very surprised Pete Peters had to be very quick with that left leg.
Peters has been sharp tonight. The Leafs in the last half of the first period had some great chances. You're looking at Luke Richardson's arm now. A lot of the players in the National League wear gloves with very short cuffs. And Richardson likes to roll his sweater up over the bottom part of his elbow. Now, when he turns palms out, like a lot of defensemen do to block shots, he's got about 4 inches of bare arm showing. He may get hit with a shot, break his wrist or his arm, but worse than that, he could get stepped on in one of those scrambles in front of the net. And I know it's comfortable, but I don't know how safe it is.
Here's Stevens in back of the net. Pass ahead to Kelly Miller. Over the line, left there for Gustafson. Stolen by Lehman. Gill's open on the left wing, but he can't get him the puck. Gustafson with Miller. Now decides to bring it in himself. Gustafson with Kelly Miller heading to the front of the net. Stevens sidestep Lehman. Lehman racing after it, and Stevens does a nice job of interference, but here's Olczyk with Gill. Into Gill, and it's deflected by Murphy wide of the Leaf winger. Lehman intercepts the pass and is in traffic and can't get the shot away. Olczyk steals to Salming. Quick shot is wristed wide. Bent Gustafson now trying to work it out. Made a low percentage pass there and almost had it stolen. Stevens on the boards. Miller is able to get it to center. Tom Fergus, as the Leafs are in the midst of a line change, flips it in, but not hard enough or high enough as Murphy gets it out. In over the line, trying to work around is Bruce. Back behind the net, and a penalty coming here to the Maple Leafs for tripping. So the Washington Capitals go to their fourth power play when we return.
In Canada, a beer must be clean and cold. And it must have a genuine Canadian taste. Molson Canadian. What beer's all about.
This man takes vacations for a living. Don't let him take yours. So don't carry cash. Carry American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without them.
John Druce, who's dominating the stat department tonight, 2 goals, injured, now gets a tripping penalty, and here's where it happened. I don't know why he got the tripping penalty. Oh, there it is, very late.
I didn't see the second one. I thought it was Iafrate going to the box.
I really think that was accidental. Iafrate stepped on the blade of Druce's stick and went down, but the referee, Rob Schick, doesn't care whether it's by accident or not. It was a trip.
So with 11 minutes to go in the second period, the Leafs in need of getting something going offensively. And this is their 3rd power play opportunity of the game. They're having a difficult time getting it out on their own end. Iafrate now to Domfus. Domfus across the line, dishes off to Fergus. Iafrate went to the front of the net. Fergus decided not to pass it to him. Into the corner to Vincent Domfus. Domfus to the point to Lands. Lands decides to shoot and score! Rick Lands took a look at who was in front, and he started that shot off. It appeared wide of the net, but the deflection makes it a 2-1 game.
Well, he had to get it past the Washington penalty-killing forward, number 10, Miller. And that's all Rick was trying to do, make sure it wasn't blocked. And you can see that it hit Rod Langway, I believe, and redirected into the net. Now, Lance looks up. He wants to get it by that guy. So he does shoot it wide in order to get it by. And maybe Merwa tipped it after Langway changed its direction, and the Leafs are back in the game with 10:32 left in the second period on a power play goal by Merwa.
Domfus and Lands assist on Merwa's power play goal. And for the Leaf rookie, it is his 14th, 5 which now have come on the power play. And finally, the Leafs are able to solve the riddle of Peter Peters.
Well, Rick Lance has played quite a bit better the last 4 or 5 games. I think when he doesn't worry about whether he's going to dress or not. A lot of players can't take that insecurity. And there's the shot. It hit, I think, 2 caps and then Merwa. I'm not sure Merwa touched it, but he jumped high after it went in, and
that's always
got
a
the
good
goal.
thing to do.
Doesn't make any difference who gets it. Lance had 4 shots on goal against Vancouver, and looks much more confident offensively.
Icing going to be called here against the Capitals. And 10-10 remains in the second period. And there is Peterborough's Luke Richardson.
This is his 7th consecutive game. He's another guy whose performance has improved when he's played regularly, you know, and when you come to, especially a young player, when you come to the rink and you know you're playing, I think it makes an awful big difference in how you prepare yourself to go. There's a better shot at what I was talking about, the short gloves, no lace.
7th pick overall in the 87 draft. Hails from Ottawa, and of course is another one of those fine Peterborough Pete's graduates.
One thing about Dick Todd's Peterborough Pete's, they know how to play the game after they played for a while for Peterborough.
Lands a shot from the point, and that just missed the net by an inch or so. Leach couldn't hook up with Courtnall. Scott Stevens in his own zone. Leafs have carved the lead in half. Traded goals in the second period, but still trailed 2-1. Courtnall left wing side. Looking in front of the net. Pass is high. That's caromed off of Dale Hunter's helmet, I think. And the Leafs are able to get it out. Armstrong unable to reach. Stevens at the center ice line. Shoots it back in, and DePuzzo calls this an offside at the Toronto blue line. From Maple Leaf Gardens, this is Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Before I got them together, Harris was a cop on the beat and Forbes was pushing paper. But now, as a team, they're irresistibly good. In fact, you can't think of one without the other. You know, they're like that snack they're always eating. Reese, real milk chocolate, creamy peanut butter. You just can't imagine one without the other. Together, they're irresistible.
Daniel Marois got a stick or a skate or his leg on that shot from Lance after it deflected off Langway. And goals have come a little tough to get for Marois, but he's going at about a 25-goal clip if he can resume the pace he showed early in the season. That would be more than satisfactory, I'm sure, from everybody's viewpoint in his first year.
Miller gets around a sprawling ally. Brady in the centering pass, and Franceschetti shot it wide. Ridley back of the net, cut off by Kotsopoulos. Olchek leaves it for Iafrate. Rink wide to Lehman, working against Langway. This should be a good battle. Lehman trying to get it through Langway. He does. It's kicked to the net, and it is stolen. No, here's a loose puck in front. Another shot, and down is Peters. He thought he had a hold of it the first time, and only good fortune is on his side to allow him to get control of it the second. What a great move that was, one-on-one.
What a great play by Langway, though. He hasn't looked at the puck yet. Still tying him up. Now, he's got to kick that to score. You young defensemen, take a lesson from the experienced Rod Langway. Here's the chance Olchuk gets in. Peters was really lucky there. Rod Langway showed you that if you let the puck carrier worry about the puck and you worry about the man, you're not going to have the troubles you have if you try and get the puck. He can move the puck faster than you can move your stick. The Norris Trophy winner in 83-84, and he was the first American to ever win the Norris Trophy for the best defenseman in the National League.
Didn't learn an awful lot of his hockey in Formosa, where he was born, but he picked up quickly once he got back to the mainland.
Did he swim?
I hope so. I think his parents brought him. Gill with Peters down, but he shot it wide. Flipped by Murphy to the blue line and knocked down at center by Todd Gill.
Well, if Formosa, that's where Rod learned his hockey, they should send a dozen defensemen on the National League over there for training.
Sign them up. Here's Gustafson across the blue line. Still with it. And the deflection is sent up into the crowd off of Brad Marsh's stick. With 8:21 left to go in the period. And there's a couple of players that aren't playing, one because of the flu and one because of numbers.
Well, Mark Osborne practiced today for the first time, and he's really had a bad dose of the flu. And now it's a question of him getting his strength back. And don't forget, he had mono this summer. And every time he gets feeling a little lousy, I'm sure he wonders whether that is coming back. The Leafs could certainly use him on the left side.
Fergus taking the draw against Bob Gould. Salming chips it on the boards. Marois doesn't get it out. Langway at the point. Bester had to juggle that a little bit. Was able to smother it. And another face-off will result in the Toronto zone, this time to his right.
Well, a young winger, you have to be able to take pucks around the boards. It's the hardest thing for wingers to learn how to do. It's by far the most difficult job a winger has. When you don't, and the puck gets by you, the goalie has to bail you out, as did Bester on that Langway shot.
Fergus wins the draw again. Salming trying to get away from Franceschetti. Finds Fergus. Marois loose on the right wing. Able to get it by Langway. Fergus trying to help out in the corner against Ledyard. Ledyard flips it by Domfus. Marsh charges down the board. Battling with Bruce. And Ledyard with a pretty good pile of players on the far side tries to come up the middle. Here's Gould. Hooked by Marsh, who got back into the play quickly. Fergus at center. Off of Domfus' skate. Marois carries it on. Now Fergus will shoot it in. And it's in back of the Washington goal as Ledyard starts back. 7:23 to go in the second period. 2-1 in favor of the Washington Capitals. John Bruce has both of the goals for the Caps. Daniel Marois on the power play for the Maple Leafs. Domfus gets it out. Here's Murphy waiting to send it right back in again, and the former Los Angeles King, who arrived for Engblom and Ken Houston back in '83, has difficulty. Now he's faced with a 3-on-2. Domfus to Laughlin. Back into Domfus, closing in on goal. It's still loose in front. It's sent wide, and the net is dislodged. And there will be a face-off deep in Washington territory as the Leafs trail by 1.
I don't really have anyone else to talk to about this.
Dear John, single again, but never alone.
It's a support group for singles.
Hey, John, out of the blue, I get hit with a paternity suit. Look, Kirk, class action, too. Kirk.
John will endear you.
Are you sure it's me you want?
Oh, yes.
To the joys of bachelorhood.
Lonely, unemployed, myopic male.
Judd Hirsch is Dear John. Global's got it Thursday at 9:30.
Thanks, that's very good advice.
Craig Lachlan logged a lot of games in that red, white, and blue uniform, 428 to be exact. He knows this team quite well.
He certainly knows their discipline. Armstrong joins Lachlan with Dave Reed. Lachlan trying to outmuscle Leach, and does with a chance to shoot. Oh, that took Pete Peters right in the chest protector. Kept in by Richardson. Armstrong couldn't kick it ahead to his stick, and the Capitals get it out. Leach across the blue line. Richardson went head hunting there. Puck comes free, and Lachlan gives it ahead for Reed. Lands moves to the attack. Lachlan driving for the net. Here's Reed. Shot, and he fired it high and wide. Richardson keeps it in at the point and then gives it away. Courtnall along with Hunter. Hunter with the pass. Richardson got back in time to put the hook on him. Reed with Armstrong. Over the line, drop pass. Tim Armstrong. His pass for Lachlan is too far to reach. Ridley trying to get it out. Miller had it swept away. Now here's Courtnall. Turning in the center ice zone, and a long shot goes into the Leaf zone. Cleared ahead for Lachlan. Lachlan across the line. Into the corner. And Hatcher turns in front of his own goal. Ridley sets it up for him. 5:35 to go in the period. Hatcher's shot is going to tear him up into the seats. And a face-off will be brought outside that Toronto blue line. There's one of the hard-working crew of the Global Television Network. No, not him, the guy with the camera.
We couldn't get one global guy to go in the goal. Look at the bib that Peters has. And on that shot, it gives you an idea where goalies, why they wear the bibs. Lachlan shoots it, and it comes up very quickly, and I think it hit him in the plastic projection of his mask. And if it wasn't there, perhaps he would...
I'll guarantee he wouldn't be standing there. He'd be
and he'd have a bit
wheeled
of a
off.
raspy voice after getting hit in the Adam's apple with a hard shot like that.
Sure would.
Didn't Aldo Ray get hit with one of those early in his movie career?
I don't know. Some mornings I think that Pat Marsden did. Here the Capitals bringing it in, laying it into the corner for Kotsopoulos. Gill. And out comes Olczyk now. Olczyk with Lehman. Again, it's Langway on the ice. You'll see this matchup fairly regularly when Olczyk and Lehman are on. Langway's there, too. Lehman in front, and he shot it wide.
Well, I am sure Brian Murray is matching Hatcher and Langway, or at least Langway for sure, has left the fence.
Miller a shot, and Bester
against right winger Lehman. And so far, you would have to say it's a good coaching move because Lehman doesn't seem to be able to get by him, but not many do.
They've had good scoring chances nonetheless as Olczyk tips it in deep and heads for the bench. Langway. Ahead to Korobov. Ivan Korobov and diving in front. Here's the drive. Big save by Bester. There's a loose puck. And Daniel Merwa makes a very heads-up move there to tuck it into the pass of Alan Bester.
Well, Bester was sharp on that one. That was a bullet shot by Dave Christian from right in the slot. And there's Mike Ridley. Quite a story, Mike, coming out of the University of Manitoba for a tryout with the Rangers. Made it, and then was dealt to Washington.
That really fluttered, didn't it? Knuckleballed on Bester.
Am I afraid he got hit in the bugle there? Looks like he's going to be all right. Makes your eyes water a little bit.
You talked about Ridley, Perry, and he's never been a 40-goal scorer in college or pro hockey, and he's really on his way to maybe being a 50-goal scorer, which Just goes to show that you can blossom late.
Well, I'll tell you what, when he played Tier 2 for the St. Boniface Canadians in Tier 2 League near Winnipeg, he broke Bobby Clark's Tier 2 record for goals, assists, and points. And Coach Murray told me before the game the one thing Ridley's able to do finally is get over a so-so or a lackluster game and not let it bother him the next game. When he first came to Washington, a bad shift would set him off for 2 or 3, and that's part of the maturation process that young players have to go through. And don't forget, this kid came in at 22 years old. So imagine what must go through an 18 or a 19-year-old's mind when things don't go very well for him. And in this league, that happens to everybody every once in a while.
Leafs get it out. Murphy sends them back in. Salming with Gustafson chasing, and Fergus now with a chance to move it ahead. And Golfus has it. Rink wide for Merwa. Over the line, but can't get through. A wave. There's a shot. A pick save made by Peters. He was moving the wrong way and had to really throw that leg up. Salming at the point. Do nothing better than to try and keep it in, but got that elevated just a tad high, and it clears the glass. There's Pete Peters, who sort of got caught going the wrong way and had to make a recovery move in order to keep that what looked like a rather harmless shot from going in.
Well, one thing Peters is showing tonight, and I don't know whether this is what is an every night occurrence for him, he's really made a lot of stops with his feet, and he's caught very few shots. And Tom Fergus, who can shoot the puck as well as anybody in this league, has scored his 11 goals in 8 of the 43 he's played. And I think he, and I know Armstrong, I'd like to see him spread that out a little bit.
Spread it out by getting a little more of it. Richardson takes down Leach. Now the pass in front, and lands, outlets to Merwa. Relay for Fergus is too high, and here's Kevin Hatcher back in his own zone for Washington to Grant Ledger. Ahead to number 32, Dale Hunter. Jeff Courtnall with the pass. Trying to flip it into the slot for Leach, and the Leafs get it out. Hunter's going to bring it in offside with 3:35 left to play in the period. There's Dale Hunter.
One thing I like about the Washington team, almost to a man, they play as if they're mad at the opposition, especially when they're playing without the puck. Hunter is the captain of that team, but it's a pretty difficult time for you in this league to play a nice, soft defensive game. And the Capitals, one reason why they're so good defensively is when they don't have the puck, and especially when they're in defensive zone coverage or back checking, they play like they're mad at the opposition. And I think it helps them be more effective.
Hunter couldn't get it into the zone. Armstrong bangs in, and then Hunter is trapped in there as Richardson decides to straighten up Jeff Courtnall. Now, if you stay with us during our second intermission, you're going to understand why Courtnall might be a little bit upset about getting straightened up. Here's what we're going to have during our first intermission. Jeff Courtnall will guest with Dave Hodge, and Jim Taddy will check in with our NHL highlights. And this homestand is going to continue as well for the Maple Leafs. They're in the throes of a 6-game homestand.
Well, Joe, you know their schedule as well as anybody. They are going to pay for a 6-game homestand down the road somewhere. Is it coming soon?
Yeah. Laughlin bringing it to center. 3 minutes to go in the period as it is lifted in. Peters leaving it for Murphy. 2-1 in favor of the Capitals. The Leafs have outshot the Washingtonians 18-15. Across the line, Christian looking for Murphy in front. The pass is deflected by Lands, and Lands has an outlet ahead at center for Reed. Reed weaving in the center ice zone. Armstrong, the pass to Lands, closes in, and he dished off to Laughlin, and it went wide. Here's Reed, a shot, blocked by a smothering Stevens in front of the net. Reed gets it back again to Armstrong, and he decides to shoot it, but it's a weak one that Peters was able to handle. Richardson keeps it in. Gould flipping to the line. Richardson teeing it up. Passes to Lehman. Rolls it in on goal. Out the other side underneath the sprawling Peters. Pete's been good when he's had to be good, and he's been lucky when he's had to be lucky.
Well, he got a good long view of the roof of Maple Leaf Gardens on that play, and luckily enough, the puck was under him and then squirted out wide of the goal.
Lehman waits for Olczyk to get onside. Put to the ice by Kelly Miller. No penalty call. All of Rod Schick's relatives booing him on that call. Now here it out. Ledyard lifts it back into the lead zone. Chris Kotsopoulos.
There's Langway. He just looks down the boards, and when Lehman goes out, he goes out.
Shot in wide of the net. Lehman on the boards. Gill looking in front. It's cleared around back of the net. And Langway is there to play it ahead, and Miller loses it. Iafrate rolls it in front. Peters knocks it into the corner. Iafrate in deep. Kicks it to Olczyk. Back for Lehman, who's trying to get it in front. Iafrate couldn't hook up with Olczyk, who was loose at the side of the goal. As Miller skates to center. Mike Miller with a shot, blocked by Todd Gill, who dropped back there to play defense with Iafrate moving into the offense. And now the new left winger gets it ahead for Olczyk. Rink wide, this time on the other side to Lehman. He'll try Hatcher this time, only to have it taken away there by Christian. Gustafson after it, icing a possibility, and Salming got there. Good play by Boreas Salming, who forced Gustafson away from the puck and then slid back with that left skate to make contact with it.
Gary Lehman, who's looking into the eyes of Rod Langway most of the evening, and they had a tough scuffle in the corner. Here's what I'm talking about. Langway showing that he plays like he's mad. I mean, he takes, look at him, he takes it and he gives it to him again, and he tell him he's not going anywhere. And you ask anybody, if you're a forward, what it's like to play against a guy that does that to you every shift. You can get sick of it.
Do you mean they don't like each other after the game?
Well, they probably do, but Langway's got the ability, and this is a talent, to get mad when the game starts. And when a big guy like that gets mad, it's the bomb shelters. A lot of guys run for the bomb shelters.
Stevens in back of the net. Scott Stevens is another guy I don't want to have him get mad at me. Hunter turning. 23 seconds left in the period. Gompos in over the line with Hunter all over him, and Stevens steals the pass. Capitals trying to take a lead into the third period, and they have not relinquished one this season when they've done so. And it appears they're going to do it here again against the Maple Leafs with 4 seconds left in the period. And Hatcher will make sure that it does happen as the horn brings to an end second period play here from the Garden.
Again, the Leafs made a bit of an error, I think. They don't seem to be able to start the period with the intensity they finished the period. And Washington scored a very early goal, and the Leafs, after about the 8 or 10 minute mark of the period, came on and caused all kinds of trouble for the Capitals in their own zone, scored. They ought to think seriously of investing a 20-minute effort in period number 3.
So the teams exchange goals in the middle stanza, and the score at the end of the second period is the Washington Capitals 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs 1.
The new Mazdas have arrived. And if this is your year for a new car, this year, make it a Mazda. Every one of these superbly engineered cars and trucks comes with Mazda's 5-year, 100,000-kilometer warranty, including 3 years, 80,000 kilometers, bumper to bumper. It's more than just a good warranty. It's the best warranty in the business. Protecting your investment the Mazda way. This year, make it a Mazda.
Hi, we're here with McDonald's and Global's Ontario Money Mania game. And the winners are rolling in.
Congratulations to 18-year-old Denise Beauregard of Toronto. She's $25,000 richer playing Ontario Money Mania.
Be sure to pick up your Money Mania game card daily at McDonald's in Ontario. And then watch Global weeknights from 7:20 to 7:30, right after Wheel of Fortune. There are more $25,000 prizes available to be won. It could happen to you.
Oh, I hate that. You know when you go to a wedding or a party and they play the music really loud and the person you're dancing with keeps shouting into your face? And what if they have bad breath? What if you do and that's what they're trying to tell you? Better be sure. Use Clarettes. Clarettes, gum or mini-mints. Only Clarettes has chlorophyll and retsin to help fight bad breath. Clarettes, when you want to be sure about your breath.
2 goals by Washington rookie John Druce and 1 goal by Toronto rookie Daniel Marois accounting for the scoring. After 2 periods of play, the Capitals leading the Leafs by a score of 2-1. This is on the weekend. Washington and the Chicago Blackhawks, Jeff Courtnall and Steve Conroy collide, and Jeff was down there for a while. And we'll look at it again. And it is remarkable that he's back in the lineup so soon. Number 14 for the Capitals, Jeff Courtnall, is our second intermission guest. And not that we should joke about anything like this, but do you want to see it again?
No, I think I've seen it enough since the day after. I don't remember too much about it, but I'm still feeling it.
Well, thanks for doing the interview without your helmet. Last year you were an Oiler. You won a Stanley Cup, but you didn't score much there. You did in Boston before you went there, and you certainly have in Washington after you left there. Why didn't you score in Edmonton?
Well, I think it was, you know, a number of things. I think I was there mainly on the third line trying to play a checking role, and I didn't get many goals or many opportunities to score. And then in the playoffs, I just seemed to get frustrated. The harder I tried, the worse it got, and every time I'd get a chance, I was trying too hard to score, so nothing happened offensively.
Now, you were prepared to sign with the Rangers, and in fact you did as a free agent. A large off-season discussion about where you would wind up. Are you happy that this transpired, even though your first choice was the Rangers?
Well, I think it was a long, hard summer. It was pretty frustrating. I didn't really know where I was going, but things have been great. The Washington Capitals organization are first class. I think the way I've been treated right from the start has just been outstanding. I thought maybe there might be some bitterness, but everything's just been great, and they've given me a lot of ice time and shown a lot of confidence in me, and I think that's a lot of my success is due to that. Interesting that you've had trouble beating the Rangers. The Capitals haven't done it yet this season. Yeah, I know. We've the last two games have been real close. I think we deserved to win, and we played well, but it just came up short, and I think that's something we have to work on. Is this style of team good for you? I think it might be compared to Boston in some ways, and you were certainly comfortable there. Do you like playing with this kind of team rather than a club like the Oilers? Well, I think it's really, tough to say because I was only with Edmonton for such a short time, and Boston, I really became comfortable there with the, more of a defensive-oriented team where they play a lot of dump and hit and just jump on the loose pucks, and that was where I got a lot of my opportunities, where Edmonton was more of a freewheeling game, and I don't really know if I suit that style, but I seem to be comfortable with Washington, and the style they play is pretty similar to Boston. What about Dale Hunter? He must be a good center to play with for a winger who likes to score as you do. Well, he's been great. I played with Guston off the start, and he's also a great player, but I think Dale, he really gets me the puck in a lot of great positions out there, and he moves the puck well. Michel Goulet scored 50 goals playing with him, and I think, if I can get 30, 35, that'd be nice. Now, we shouldn't talk to you in Toronto without asking you about brother Russ, who left here and is presumably happy in Montreal. How much contact have you had with him? Well, I've talked to him quite a bit since the trade. I talked to him last night, as a matter of fact, and he's pretty happy there. He's, liking going to the rink every day and being on a winning team. I think he might have been frustrated leaving Toronto, but I think he's pretty happy he's on a good team there. Not many players have played for both the Leafs and the Canadiens in their careers. Russ Courtnall has done that, and Jeff has bounced around a little bit in the last few years, but seems very happy in a Washington uniform. The Capitals are leading the Leafs by a score of 2-1. And next we'll look at games elsewhere in the NHL. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
The gift of sight has faded away for 17 million men, women, and children in the developing world who are curably blind with cataracts. Your $25 donation to Operation Eyesight Universal will actually restore one person to sight. Bring back the light. Give someone back their sight. For more information, please contact Operation Eyesight Universal.
This week on Diamonds.
Make you wait till I leave town so you can rob me blind? Great.
Christina and Mike take a shot at saving a marriage.
But married people always lie to each other. That's what marriage is all about.
A bit of abduction. Deceit.
I've been employed by the man you're blackmailing.
A touch of unfaithfulness. It's enough to put a detective at the end of his rope.
I think this man could really hurt me.
Global's got Diamonds. Catch it Sunday at 10.
Capitals had a 2-0 lead. Now it's a 2-1 lead as we get ready for the third period of play here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Bruce twice and Marois once, the scoring in this game. Jeff Cortnell can look at that check and talk about it with a smile, but he does say he still feels the effects and isn't feeling at all well in this game. Let's find out about other games from Jim Taddy.
Thank you very much, Dave. We've got two stops here. The first one is the Montreal Forum. Devils haven't won their last 6 visits in. Montreal lost on Monday night and hope not to lose tonight. It would be the first time they've dropped 2 in a row since late October. Let's see what's happening here. No scoring in the first. Canadians, however, have a great chance here. Mats Naslund is set up in a 2-on-1, and Sean Burke makes an enormous save, as Danny Gallivan would say, and it remains scoreless. Montreal finally breaks the scoreless draw in the second. Bobby Smith will team up with Naslund. Smith carries over the blue line, feeds Naslund, who streaks in and slithers it through Burke, who was a little ticked about that. 1-0 for the Habs at that point. Later in the period, the Habs have another chance to score. Watch here, Stéphane Richer sent in all alone. However, Burke atones for that earlier gaffe as he robs Richer right there, so it remains 1-0 Montreal after 2 over the Devils. Our next pit stop is the Chicago Stadium. Detroit is in there. Wings winless their last 6 on the road. In fact, the last time they were in Chicago, they got pasted. Here's what's happening tonight. Greg Steffen, the story of the first period, and this might tell you a bit about how good Chicago's playing. Makes a great stop there in Steve Thomas. Then Adam Creighton sets up Trent Yanni, and watch what happens here. He's going to rattle it off the goal post. Nice pass across, and he just ran out of real estate. The Wings get the only goal of the first period. It happens on this highlight. Adam Oates will pick up the loose puck and sort of get it over to Peter Klima as the Hawk defense fades all over the place. He scores, and that game is now after the first period. Detroit 1 and Chicago 0. Coming up on Sportsline at 11:30, we'll have highlights on all 4 NHL games tonight, including the Jets and Flames. Mitch Azaria will have a post-game report from the Gardens on tonight's Leafs-Washington Capitals game. Also, Bill Bird reports on the Caps, and as Dave and the broadcast crew has told you, the Caps are on fire, heading into tonight's game tied in first in the Patrick Division. Other notes from tonight's broadcast, we'll have a report on the Buffalo Bills and also the opening day into that inquiry into amateur sports drug use. Now let's go back to the Gardens and Dave Hodge.
Good news for the Leafs from Chicago, where the Blackhawks are trailing Detroit 1-0. We are concentrating on the race for 4th place, or 3rd if you wish. Toronto's 6 ahead of Chicago, but the fact is the Leafs are closer to 2nd place than they are to last. They're only 4 back of St. Louis, and if they could come back and win this game, they'd be only 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues, so maybe it's fair for the Leafs to look ahead of them rather than behind them, and the way the Blackhawks are playing, looking behind them really doesn't amount to any fear for the Leafs as yet. The Chicago Blackhawks, 2nd worst in the entire National Hockey League. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Here is a Global News update.
Good evening. Another Ontario police officer has been charged with manslaughter in the wake of the shooting death of a suspect. Toronto Constable David Davini was charged tonight by the OPP in connection with the shooting of Lester Donaldson. Donaldson was shot last summer after allegedly threatening police with a knife, and his death set off a wave of protest in the black community. The chairman of the federal inquiry into drug abuse by Canadian athletes says cheating in any form could destroy competitive sports. Mr. Justice Charles Dubin opened the witness phase of his inquiry today in Toronto. The inquiry will call athletes from around the world as well as members of various sporting organizations. Sprinter Ben Johnson, whose steroid use at the Seoul Olympics sparked the Dublin inquiry, is expected to appear in several weeks. The federal government has moved to intensify the cleanup of an oil spill off the west coast of Vancouver Island. 80 more workers and another Coast Guard vessel are now in transit to the scene, and the Army is standing by to provide extra help. Volunteers and federal personnel have been working for days to remove the damaging oil deposits from the beaches, but environmentalists say the job must be accelerated before long-term damage sets in. The Ontario Medical Association offered some blunt words for the Peterson government today. OMA President Dr. Henry Gassman predicted more patients on waiting lists for heart surgery will die. Gassman cites the shortage of critical care nurses and a lack of emergency beds as the source of the problem. And he says the crisis was created by the provincial government that's more concerned in cost considerations than accessible health care. Premier Peterson rejects those charges. I'll have more on these and other stories on The World Tonight at 11.
Referee Bill Friday drops the puck, and the Stanley Cup 1967 finals are underway.
Great hockey classics, now on video for fans to enjoy the incredible pace of the pre-expansion NHL.
This is Danny Gallivan at the Montreal Forum for the first game of the finals. This series shapes up as a goaltending duel, Vachon versus Sawchuk. And, of course, it's always a coaching battle when Toe Blake meets up with Punch Imlach.
Relive the excitement of hockey's greatest rivalry, the Leafs versus the Canadiens. Join Gallivan and Hewitt with their play-by-play of the 67 Stanley Cup playoffs. You will see the great stars, Keon, Beliveau, Bauer, Mahavlich, Richard, and Ellis. Just a few of the outstanding players of the 60s.
It's all over. The Toronto Maple Leafs have won the Stanley Cup.
Get your copy of the Stanley Cup 1967, only $19.95 plus handling. Use your credit card and call 1-800-387-3891. That's 1-800-387-3891.
Rookies have done the scoring in this game. The Hartford Whalers will be here next Monday, and they have a good one. Scott Young helping the Hartford Whalers get into a playoff spot, and they hope to stay there in the Adams division. The Whalers and the Leafs Monday at 7:30 here on Global. A recap of those other games. Matt Snaslin, the only goal. Patrick Waugh has 3 shutouts for Montreal this season. Brian Hayward still looking for his first. He's looking for it tonight in the 3rd period at the Forum. Greg Steffen's goaltending, the story of the 1st period in Chicago, as the Detroit Red Wings are leading the Blackhawks 1-0. 15 stops for Steffen to support the only goal by Peter Klima. And the other game tonight is getting underway shortly. Calgary hosting Winnipeg. The Flames are 2 back of Montreal overall, but the Flames do have 3 games in hand on the Habs. Washington leads the Leafs after 2 periods by a score of 2-1. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
She had a problem with the car. She's driving along, and all of a sudden it just stalls.
Ken Hynek is a tune-up specialist for Goodyear.
Turned out to be the module. I'm explaining that, okay, well, I'll check maybe this and that, and I'll try this. And after she left, she says, thanks a million. I said, for what? She says, being able to talk to you.
The Goodyear Diagnostic Tune-Up. Signed, sealed, and certified by Goodyear.
Customer's putting the bread on your table. You take care of him first.
From Victoriaville, Vic Proline Hockey Sticks, the ultimate in high-performance blade design. Be sure you get the pick of the pros from Victoriaville.
Both teams scoring goals. That's the second one. Daniel Marois, 1924. John Drew scored earlier at 1:10. And the shots on goal favored the Capitals 10-9 in that second period. Here's the John Druce tally.
Druce beats Vester to a loose puck and chips it by him with a one-handed backhand. And Alan Vester was quite upset with himself, giving that goal up. Marois deflects a shot by Lance. Now, I think that hits Kelly, hits Langway, and maybe it hit Marois on the shaft of the stick. Anyway, he gets credit for the goal, and the Leafs, who again dominated the back half of the period, but were dominated in the front half, are down 2-1 in a fairly well-played game by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Now, I know you were waiting for this, Mr. Neal. And you know my penchant for the statistical part of this fine game, and I will be very pleased to tell you that while carrying a lead into the 3rd period, Mr. Christian and his mates with the Washington Capitals are 14-0-2.
Records, Joe, are made to be broken.
Or, as my father once said, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. I don't know if that meant anything about me or not, but that's the way it works. Here's Gill, slipping it down into the Washington zone. Ivan Korovo skating back to try and corral it, gets it on the boards for Christian. The give and go, and Korovo's out in center. Drop pass, Gustafson going to the net, and lifted at the last second by Gary Lehman. Todd Gill starts back at center. Marsh kicks it ahead, and it is off of Olczyk down into the Washington zone. Scott Stevens brings it out slowly to the center ice red line and dumps it in deep into the Leaf zone. Marsh and Courtnall Loose puck, time to work it in front, and the shot is blocked by Kotsopoulos off the stick of Steve Leach. Here's Marois with Domfus. The pass for Domfus. He tried to tip it by Hatcher. And out come the Capitals with Leach at center. Leach across the blue line and over. Leach in a bit of a quick change. Let's see if George Armstrong gets Lehman and Olczyk back out there once Langway's off the ice. And along the boards, here's Fergus. Ahead of Iafrate. Iafrate to Marois. Into Iafrate. Driving for the net. Backhanded it just wide. Domfus taken out. Langway in back of the net. Langway gets it ahead to Courtnall, who banks it out at center ice. Capitals starting to change. Langway looks for the bench and heads off. And the Leafs decide to go with their third line, and Armstrong with Laughlin and Reed soon to join will come over the boards for George Armstrong. Hatcher passes it up at center for Ridley. Ridley across the line with Miller. Mike Miller sends it into the empty corner. Jay Miller couldn't get to it. Here's Stevens at the point from Murphy. Murphy flipping it in, and it's blocked by Land. Cleared out to the line, but not out. Stevens keeping it in. Into Miller. Mike Miller turns with it. Plays it back to the net for Kelly Miller coming out in front, and Fester got a pad on it. Kelly Miller back of the goal. Jay Miller trying to stuff it in, and it's knocked away by Dave Reed. Reed gets it out, but too far for Armstrong. Murphy for the Capitals across the line. Took a pretty good swat at there by Armstrong. Now here's Land getting it out and down the ice. This is going to be stopped by Peters. Icing had been waved off earlier, and the Leafs change in the go. Olczyk comes back over the boards, and you can bet that Rod Langway and company won't be far behind. Leafs in over the line. Pass for Gill, who had been dumped in the play, and it's cleared by the Capitals to the line, not out. Gill's pass. Olczyk a chance. Loose puck, Lehman. Shot it wide. Good scoring opportunity there.
What a great shot Lehman had that went just wide. A quick release, rocket wrist shot.
Hunter shoots it back in. And back to the net, Francis Kitty trying to get it in front. Driven to the boards by Marois, and the puck comes out at center ice. Capitals leading 2-1. We're approaching the 4-minute mark of the third period. Salming goes back into the Toronto zone. Marsh trying to add a little interference work there. Salming gets it ahead to Olczyk. Olczyk with Lehman. The pass to Lehman across the line. Lehman curling, still with it. Decides to shoot it, and he whipped it high. Two good, strong shots, and both of them have missed the net.
Well, I don't think anybody in the Leaf team shoots the puck any harder than Lehman.
Here's Gill in front. Lehman trying to curl. Taken down, penalty coming to Hunter. Out of the net comes Alan Vester. Leafs would like to get this in deep. Marsh trying to get out of the zone, and Hunter is going to touch the puck. And there's going to be a penalty here to Dale Hunter that will send the Leafs to their fourth power play. And you're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Can you get AIDS from kissing? No one ever got AIDS from kissing. AIDS is transmitted during sexual intercourse with an infected person. So if you are sexually active, cut the risk. Use a latex condom. And if you have any questions, call this free number for the facts about AIDS. Knowing the facts is the first step in protecting yourself. Let's talk.
Here's a look at that hook that Dale Hunter administers on Gary Lehman that has sent the Washington forward to the penalty box for hooking at 4:22.
Hunter throws his arms up by his side and says to Rob Schick, I didn't do anything to him, so I hooked him a bit and held him a bit.
What did you want me to do, let him go and score? Iafrate shoots it in. Domfus. The Leafs 1 for 3 on the power play. Their goal came on their last power play opportunity in the second period. Now here's Gustafson working against Land one-on-one. He drives the net and scores! A big goal from Bent Gustafson, shorthanded, makes it 3-1.
And he showed you that play why David Coyle re-signed Gustafson for over $400,000. This is a $300,000 move. They say he weighs 185. Lance thought he had a telephone pole on his hand once Guston got the angle on him. Right here. A great little change of pace, and then leans in, keeps control even though he's being held, and sticks it by Bester. Not many players in the National League could have made that play.
His third shorthanded goal of the season and his 13th of the year. And Dave Christian gets the assist, and boy, you could feel the bench at the Maple Leaf side of things anyway sag from up here.
Washington a 3-1 lead with 15 minutes to go in the game. They are maybe the best at defending a lead.
Gill across the line.
And a 2-goal lead is almost an impossible task. But the Leafs have played well.
Old check to Lance at the point, trying to make up for the goal, but this one is gloved by Peters and held with 56 seconds left in the penalty.
You know, the Leafs have got 14 points in the last 25 games. Why? In the first 12, where they were 8-3-1, their goals against average is 2.83. Boy, that's a picturesque move if you're a hockey fan. In the next 31 games, the Leafs are 7-22-2, and their goals against is 4.77. Goals against wins you hockey games in this league, and shorthanded goals is a close second. Ben Gustafson made a great move on Rick Lance to give his team a 2-goal advantage.
So the Maple Leafs trail by a score of 3-1. As it's cleared down into the Toronto zone. Olczyk leaving it for Kotsopoulos, who is unable to get it out. Now here's Kotsopoulos to Olczyk. Drop pass to Salming. On to Lehman. Lehman on the left wing to Olczyk. Over the line. Gill trying to tip it in for his centerman. Then gets it himself. Gill back to Olczyk, and his quick shot, one timing effort, was deflected by Miller, and now it's whistled up into the seats and out of play with 18 seconds remaining in the period.
Well, if you're a Leaf fan, there's the criminal, number 16, Ben Gustafson. Got a shorthanded goal on a 1-on-1 situation against Rick Lance.
Good shift out there, Kelly and Bobby.
Let's have another look at it here. Now, Lance is a right defenseman, and he turns to his right way better than he turns to his left. And here he is caught on the left side. And he can't turn as quickly. And Gustafson needed just a little bit of fresh air between him and the net. Rick Lance knows it. I don't know whether anybody could have played it much better. In all fairness, Gustafson made a great play.
That is the 7th shorthanded goal the Leafs have allowed this season. When you compound that fact that their power play is 21st in the National Hockey League, that really hurts.
Does that make it 23rd?
Is that possible? It might.
Well, they should factor that in, Joe. You got a good point there.
Here's Domfus across the line to Fergus. Fergus trying to flip it back, and he gives the puck away to Hunter, who has come out of the penalty box. Ridley, a pass to Miller, who stumbles. Hunter brings it in. This would be offside if he touches it, and should have been there. I think he made enough contact to draw out the sign and still got his arm up. Marois, now it is finally touched by Miller, and the faceoff will be brought into neutral ice. George Armstrong's club trails by 2 again here in the third.
If the Japanese combined the best in engineering, aerodynamics, and fuel efficiency, they'd end up with a car that was head and shoulders above the rest. Introducing the Colt 200 series, built by Mitsubishi for Chrysler. Cars designed to be blatantly unfair to the competition. Chrysler, changing the landscape.
You ever wondered how often a coach looks at the clock in the third period of a game? It's not going fast enough for this guy, and it's going way too fast for George Armstrong.
Washington's 5th shorthanded goal of the season is a big one from Ben Gustafson. Leafs get it ahead to Fergus. Pass to Marois, bogs down, and Kevin Hatcher is able to get it up on the wing. Cleared back down into the Toronto zone. Bester got it to the boards. Ridley keeping it in play. Richardson now lost it in front. Franceschetti backhand shot blocked by Lamb. Fergus starts away with Marois. Flip pass for Marois in over the line, and he couldn't bring it along the boards with him. Rink wide for Miller. Mike Miller in over the line. Ranks it up, and he had Alan Bester ducking in a hurry.
Miller and Bester played together, did they not, for Brantford in the OHL?
There's a chance for Marois, but he couldn't get it to the net. Fergus against the boards. Ledyard tying him up. The puck comes free. Marois in front, rolls it through the goal mouth. Bumps into the goaltender. And Franceschetti starts away for the Capitals, bringing it in over the line, killing off some time as his team is changing. And the Leafs get clear of it with Laughlin sent away by Fergus. Laughlin sends it into the right wing corner with Stevens after him. And as it rolls into the goal mouth, goaltender Pete Peters is able to smother it.
Scott Stevens, who's -14, which is by far the worst on the Capital defense, although he's obviously doing a good job offensively. Looks to me, Joe, to just be a little slow tonight. And I have only seen them play one other time this year. But I wonder whether that's what's causing the defensive problems, or maybe he just had 2 bad games where he got about 8 of them against.
He, of course, when he arrived in the defense, got very solid. One of the reasons why hockey has caught on in the Washington area, their attendance is doing a good job.
A lot of fans afraid not to go.
But they are averaging about 16,000.
Yes, they are. They've got over 8,000 season tickets and over 6,000 10 or 20 game plans, and have averaged over 16,000. Now, to a Canadian franchise like Toronto, that doesn't seem like much, but I remember the days when they didn't have 6,000 under any circumstances.
Besides a familiar face, besides Johnny Bauer.
John Ferguson. Those 2 guys played together for the Cleveland Barons. Bauer stopped the pucks and Ferguson stopped the players. I'd like to see John back in the National League. He's a good man. And certainly the Winnipeg Jets have yet to prove that his replacement has done any better.
Dow along with Laughlin. Neither of them is able to get it out. Here's Hunter closing in front. Still has it, and then gave the puck away to Reed. Reed to Dow. Dow coming to center with Laughlin across the line. Just rolls it in wide of the net through the crease. Reed looks for help in front. Now here's Salming approaching in front. He scores! Salming coming in from the point, and the Leafs get that shorthanded goal back with 11:11 left to go.
Well, that was a heads-up play by Salming, and a little thoughtless by number 14, Jeff Courtnall. That's his job. Take the point, man. He thinks of it, but too late. And, of course, then he can't do anything about it. And Boreas Salming made a great play, and he got a nice pass right here from Dave Reed, who had the presence of mind to find him when he was being harassed by Scott Stevens. Boreas Salming showed us a little bit of that offense that he showed us a lot of in his first 10 years with the Leafs. I don't know what he's going to do in his third 10 years.
So while the 4th line of the Capitals, and in particularly John Bruce, got the Capitals going, the 4th line of the Leafs here, Reed and Laughlin assist on Boreas Salming's 2nd of the season. And it is a 3-2 hockey game with 11 minutes left to go in the 3rd period.
And if the Leafs do what they've done the first 2, not play so well for the first half and then really get it going the second.
Christian with a chance. Bester stopped that, and he's out there to make a Willie Mays basket catch on the loose puck. Face-off coming in his own zone. There's the hero of the moment.
In Canada, a wedding is cause for mild anxiety and intense emotion.
When my hands are shaky and my knees are weak, I can't seem to stand on my own 2 feet. Who do you think when you have such luck? I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
As well as one heck of a celebration and the clean, cold taste of a genuine Canadian beer. Molson Canadian. What beer's all about.
Here's another look at the goal. Reed fighting off Stevens. A nice pass to Salming, who jumped by Courtnall and came all the way in from the blue line. And Pete Peters had no chance at all on that nice play by Boreas Salming.
He scored both of his goals on a very similar play, Harry Neal. Face off in the Leaf zone. Capitals control it. Dave Christian's long shot is juggled momentarily by Alan Bester and held.
Shots 24-23, score 3-2. It's been a close game, and it's still anybody's game. Dave Christian, when he first broke into the National League with Winnipeg, played quite a bit on defense. And he played on defense when he played for the American Olympic team in 1980 in Lake Placid.
One of the great stories in hockey history. Salming passes ahead off of Gill's skate. There's the ever-present Rod Langway, and Hatcher shoots it back into the Leaf zone. Whoa! Missed a check from Lou Franceschetti, who had a full head of steam up. Salming's quickness got him out of possibly the hospital on that move. Christian slipping it in. Salming will try to repay the favor, but didn't get quite as much as Franceschetti wanted. Here's Olczyk in over the line, and it's poked off of his stick by Guston. Dave Christian turns. Rink wide for Langway. In on the left wing, Miller! And Bester, very fortunate that he was able to get a pad on that, and he knows it.
A beautiful pass by Rod Langway, and Miller was trying to go to Christian with the pass, and he missed the pass across, and he nearly slid it in. There's a lovely pass by Langway through the legs of the Leaf defenseman Boreas Salming, and there was the pass. Franceschetti, who's the senior member of the Washington Capital Organization, and he's giving Salming, whoa! Salming was nearly hurt by the breeze when Franceschetti missed him.
Usually your defensive partner, and Marsh was trying, gets over there to administer a nice, tidy little hook to slow him down, but he didn't make it. Here's Gould in front, Ridley! And a big pass save by Bester as Ridley failed to get it up over top of that left pad of diminutive Alan Bester as the Leafs trail by 1.
If you're running on empty, come into any participating Shell station. You'll receive $7.50 worth of Dash and Dime coupons from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Just purchase 25 liters or more before January 22nd, and you can fill up with the great taste of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Left in the third period, and the Leafs trail by 1. John Bruce has scored twice for Washington, Ben Gustafson the other. Daniel Marois and Boreas Salming have replied to the Maple Leafs. Larry Murphy moving into the slot. On his backhand, he rolls it in on goal. Hill in front again, and Bester makes a huge save on Miller.
Well, the sign of a good goaltender, or a goaltender having a good night, is to not give the opposition the goal to break your team's back. And Alan Bester made a great stop on number 10, Miller, to keep the Leafs in this game. Watch the pass across right here. Look at 10. Nobody near him. He gets a lot of wood on it, but Bester with his left leg makes the save and keeps his team alive.
I don't think Richardson realized that Miller was in behind him. He had the first man in front, but Miller had snuck in behind at the post.
Well, when there's two men, you think you're better off to take one than stand between both of them. And although he took the wrong guy, maybe Bester knew it and figured he could come across the way he did to make that stop.
Here's Murphy again at the point. His shot knocks the stick out of Olczyk's hand, and Lehman now trying to work his way clear, and Miller, his persistent back-checking, took it away and sends it right back into the Leaf zone. Bester playing it around on the boards. Ridley cuts it off. Side of the net, backhand shot. And Gould denied, and out comes Lehman with Gill. Gill is across the line. Slipped in back of the net. Olczyk taken out by Miller. Patsopoulos' shot is blocked. And the rebound goes to Ridley. Ridley and Gould. Miller trails. Ridley winds it up, and it is taken chest high by Alan Bester on a rather poor percentage shot taken there by Mike Ridley. From Maple Leaf Gardens, this is Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
This isn't like New York where you open the door and there's hundreds of people of all sizes, shapes, and perversions.
Coach Lubbock moved the whole family in search of the quiet country life. But with a house full of girls enrolled at a school full of boys, life is anything but...
Hey! Hi!
Oh!
Whoa!
Sometimes a little expert advice is needed.
Yo, God?
Or an emotional response.
Out of here! No!
Global's got just the 10 of us. 7:30 Friday.
We talked about the improved defensive play of the Leafs. Here's some heads-up thinking and some talking. Katsopoulos is caught. Olczek's ahead of him. They make verbal communication between the two and turn a 3-on-2 into a 3-on-3 and a no chance. Good play by all three Leafs.
Dave Reed gets it off of Lachlan in deep into the Washington zone, and Pete Peters gets it elevated and out at center ice. Salming trying to get that behave. Pass up the middle didn't work. Shot back in by Ledyard. Salming sends it around on the boards. Ledyard at the point. A shot. Traffic. Vesper's able to handle it and gets it ahead to Reed. Rink wide for Lachlan with Dowers, and his shot in. Here's Peters out of the net again. Gets it into the corner. On the boards, Lachlan to Reed. He doesn't handle it. Marsh at the point. A shot. And it is kicked high into the crowd off the stick of Pete Peters. Coming up after the game. Make sure you stay tuned here on the Global Television Network as Katie Lang is Super Dave Osborne's guest. Not Pete Peters, though. He's a little busy right now.
Here's the Leafs' first good chance since they made it 3-2. Peters makes the save on a long 56-footer by Brad Marsh. Now, one thing the Leafs have found out quickly, the goal they scored to make it 3-2 has inspired the Capitals because they have dominated since the goal. The Leafs are going to have to work hard for 8 minutes and 11 seconds to get that tire. Fergus wins the draw. Marois didn't get good wood on it. Donfus can't get it on the backhand. Francis ties up the Leaf centerman. Richardson down the boards, but Christian will get it ahead. Here's Gustafson. Shorthanded goal is the go-ahead marker now. Francis banged to the boards by Richardson. Salming probably enjoyed that hit. Richardson's had a half a dozen hits. Not big-time ones like that Saturday, but ones that stopped the opposition cold, like that one. Here we go now. We've got Richardson and Francis in tight against the boards, and Francis gets bowled over a little bit, but the only thing they can do there is whisper in one another's ears. They're so close to one another. Well, Richardson really tapped Francis with a good stiff body check on the boards. Francis said he didn't like it, and this is what resulted. No punches. It was really a wrestling match. Luke Richardson's confidence is up, and so is his play.
So there will be penalties to both players. And I don't imagine that they will be majors, although we may see some double minors here. Here's how it happened.
Good hit right there. You know, a good body check, the guy you hit doesn't have to go down, as long as he stops. And Francis said he filed number 2 away and then jumped at him as the play was clearing the Leaf zone.
Penalty number 25 to Francis Eddy, 2 minutes for holding. Another penalty to number 2, Richardson, 2 minutes for roughing. Time 12:20.
So they are just the coincident minors. 12:20 the time of the infractions. George Armstrong looks on, hoping his team has enough offense left in it to get at least the tying goal in the next 7 minutes, 34 seconds. Iafrate rushing the puck. Here he comes across the line. Barges into the defense. He ran into Scott Stevens, who's every bit as big as Al Iafrate, if not larger.
And Scott Stevens, he's been listening to the scouts. They say Iafrate's best move is to his right. Stevens was over to his right waiting for him.
Marois digs it away from Korovo. Korovo now to the loose puck. Larry Murphy on the glass for Dave Christian. Christian rink wide, bringing it in over the line. Korovo knocked down by Iafrate. Christian with it again. Trying to play it back, but it comes out over the line. Fergus cut off by Larry Murphy. Scott Stevens with it now for Washington. As the Capitals change, the Leafs have to go back into their own end. Iafrate, a pass ahead. Every time Al gets the puck, you can hear a lot of the crowd hollering goal. One of them is probably Gary LaRiviere. Back of the Washington zone here is Ridley bringing it out. On the left wing to Hatcher. Kevin Hatcher's around Salming and sent it right across the goal mouth. Olczyk fails to get it out. Back of the net, Salming plays it on the backhand, kept in by the Capitals, and now lost in a 2-on-2. Olczyk and Lehman. Over the line is Lehman. Lehman curls to Gill. Lambs is in the slot alone, but they can't get him the puck, and it's centered. Here's Gill with a chance. Come on! He scored, but it was waved off. You could hear the whistle. You could hear the whistle. No question about that. Rob Schick had blown the play dead. But I don't think that Pete Peters had seen that shot yet.
No. Some stops goalies make occur because they're right in the right position, but they don't see it. And he did not see Lehman's shot, and the puck did go in after the whistle.
You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Guess who forgot to play their Lotterio numbers? There's no telling when your numbers may come up. So don't forget to play every week.
When friends drop by and bring some beer, here's hoping that it's golden. Cold-aged Molson Golden. About as smooth as it gets.
Well, let's have a look at the shot we're talking about. Lance makes that shot. Now Lehman gets away from his check, and it bounced. And it hit Peters in the left pad, and Gill shoots it in after. The referee had blown the whistle, and it's no goal. Armstrong says it was a quick whistle.
6:03 left to play in the third period. Murphy in back of the net. Ahead for Gustafson as it is sent into the lead zone. Bester plays it up on the boards. Gustafson centering it. Here's a loose puck. Christian, a backhand shot. And it's tipped in line, not out. Stevens to Gustafson, and he one-timed that. And Rob Schick had to do a little Irish jig to get out of the way as it's offside at the Toronto blue line. You know, Pete Peters has done one thing that very few have been able to do, and that is shut down Mario Lemieux. He faced his 14 shots, registering a shutout the other night against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Mario Lemieux has 46 goals in 39 games. Should he score 4 tomorrow night in Minnesota, which he could, he would have 50 goals in 40 games. Not quite as good as Wayne Gretzky's 50 in 39, but not a bad record.
Closer, can you?
And don't ever think he might not score 4.
There's the time left in the situation that presents itself to both hockey clubs. Capitals nursing that one-goal lead that they built in the first period. Salming bringing it out. Laughlin racing down the right wing as it is shot in back of the net. Peters cuts it off, so good play by the goaltender, and then lifted it over the glass. And Rob Schick has no other recourse but to give Peters a penalty. So the Maple Leafs, with their big opportunity here, their 5th power play comes up when we return.
It's another scorcher in Conning Country.
He's got the golden.
Larry's bringing it.
So where's Larry?
And traffic is backed up for miles.
I don't believe it. Smooth, Larry. But where's the golden?
Cold-aged Molson Golden. About as smooth as it gets.
The only thing you forgot was the band.
Pete Peters gets a little too much loft on this handbacker, or backhand.
Is that a new shot?
And puts it into the crowd for a 2-minute penalty. The Leafs have a great opportunity here. 5:16 to go. And Pete Peters will have to bail himself out of trouble here.
A handbacker, you say?
Or the handbacker. They go over the glass. The backhanders
stay in the ring. Oh, all right. New term?
Didn't think you knew everything about this
No,
game.
I'm always a pleasure working with a professional like yourself, Harry, to pick up these little new tips. Here's Salming at the point to Lands. Here comes his forehand shot, and it's deflected wide. Stolen there by Hatcher, but Lehman gets a piece of it. Langway knocks the stick out of Lehman's hand. Olczyk trying to help out. Lehman trying to get a hold of his cue, and it's cleared out at center ice. Christian and Gustafson, who scored that short-handed goal on the last Leaf power play opportunity, are up front. Salming slowly to the red line. Makes the move across the line. Sets up on the near board. Lands is at the point. Olczyk in the slot. Lands will shoot it, and it's driven off the stick of Christian, off the facing, and then ricochets right back down onto the ice.
Well, Pete Peters, 435 away from his 6th straight without a loss. George Armstrong knows his team has played pretty well tonight and probably deserved to be at least in a tied position here. 4:35 to go. He knows it's still possible. Brian Murray knows that his team got in from Quebec City at 2:45 a.m. Didn't practice this morning, and you have to wonder whether that'll be a factor at all in the 3rd period or the rest of this game.
Salming goes back into his own zone. And back of the net, Salming getting it up on the wing to Lands. Rink wide for Olczyk, and they're going to call that offside as Lands hadn't managed to get his foot across that Leaf blue line, as Eddie Olczyk hopes to keep a scoring streak going here by maybe getting the tying goal on this power play.
14 points in the last 7 games, 7 goals, 7 assists. He's had 17 multiple point games this year, and 5 times he scored 2 goals. And so far tonight, he has played 23 minutes and 20 seconds. He'll probably get to the 25-minute mark, which is a good night's work for a forward. Their average is much closer to 15, 16 minutes.
Salming comes to center. Lifts it into the Washington zone. Peters won't get to this as Gill is down the boards. Tied up by Scott Stevens. Lifted now. Here's Lehman in front of shot. Oh, what a huge save by Pete Peters. That's his best of the game off a disconsolate Ed Olczyk.
Olczyk being tied up by number 3 Stevens in front of the net. Here's the giveaway. And watch Olczyk right there. And gets good wood on it. And Peters coming across from his right to his left makes the save. That one quite similar to the one Vester made to keep the Leafs just 1 goal behind. Pete Peters has played a strong game, and so has that Olczyk.
Boy, it is a night for low-scoring hockey games. The Red Wings and Hawks are tied at a goal, and the Canadians lead New Jersey 1-0, and there's our score with 3:57 left to go. 40 seconds now left in the penalty to Peters. Fergus on the board, trying to kick it free, but Gustafson steals it and sends Christian out in center. Lands trying to cut him off, and does so by pinching him in on the boards. Iafrate winding it up. Lands carries to center. Lifts it high into the Capital zone. Langway bats it to the blue line, and Iafrate fails to keep it in. Battling with Gustafson, and down goes Iafrate. Puck loose underneath them, or is it? Yes, Fergus has it now. 3 seconds left in the penalty, and Portnoy is going to escape. And the penalty to Peters does not cost the Capitals the tying goal with 3:10 left to go. Luke Richardson carries it himself to the red line. Ferguson to do the forechecking as Ridley gets in his way. Back of the net. Ledyard on the boards. Kelly Miller trying to kick it free. Lost there by the Leafs. Olczyk coming right in front of shot. Another shot as a great play there by Peters again. Shot by Olczyk is blocked. Daniel Marois had 3 chances to stuff it. Couldn't get it in. Another shot is kicked away by Peters. Leafs with some pressure now. Olczyk swinging it in front. Peters down, and it's knocked away. Miller wants to get rid of it and does.
Oh, great effort by all 5 Leafs. And a similar effort by the Capitals. They were lucky they weren't scored on.
Richardson brings it in, but Olczyk is trapped inside the zone. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. And Daniel Merwa came within an inch of tying this game on that scramble to the near post against Pete Peters. Let's take a look at it again.
Well, Merwa gets the puck, but right here, but it's way too close. You see, one slap, now he can't get it up. If he'd have had time to pull it back to the top of the crease, he might have got one. And there was going to be a good shot, but it was blocked by the Capital defenseman. There's Merwa describing what happened. I couldn't get it up, he said. I'm sure he thought the red light was going to go on. The Capitals had all 5 skaters within 2 feet of the crease on that scramble.
Brian Murray has decided he wants to call a timeout with 2:15 to go.
Well, George Armstrong ought to be happy about this timeout call by Murray. He will have about a minute with his best 5 as far as trying to get a goal is concerned, then he can call the timeout. Give those 5 a breather.
Let's see if we can listen in on that bench. Daniel still trying to figure out how he didn't get that tying goal.
Talking to Armstrong, he says, give me one more chance, I'll get it for you, Chief.
Discussing the situation as the faceoff is outside that Washington blue line. There's the time and there's the score. The Capitals holding on to that 1-goal lead, and it's been precarious in the last minute and a half. Scott Stevens comes to the red line and will just roll it into the Leaf end. Now 2 minutes remain in the third period, and we'll keep an eye on Alan Bester for you.
Washington will only forecheck one man and try and set 4 guys up across their blue line to make it difficult to get into their zone under control of the puck.
Iafrate back of the net. Bang to the boards. Dave Christian keeps it in. Here's Franceschetti killing off precious seconds as they try to forecheck in the Leaf zone, and they'll get a face-off where the Capitals would like it with 1:38 left to go in the third period.
And the referee has decided that Franceschetti would not play the puck when he was asked to. Held it on purpose against the boards, and as a result, there will be a face-off outside. Both teams changing part of their lineup. The Leafs put Fergus on left wing with Olczyk and Lehman, and Olczyk and Lehman are staying out. And Fergus comes out for Todd Gill.
Richardson and Salming join them on the defense. Ridley, Gould, and Kelly Miller are sent out defensively by Brian Murray. Here's Luke Richardson getting it ahead off of Fergus, and Olczyk couldn't hook up with it, and Gould sends it right back into Leaf territory. That clock running rather quickly for the Maple Leafs, I'm sure. They haven't been able to get out of their own end. Richardson. Now as Bester edges out, but won't leave at this particular point. Now he heads for the bench. Salming's across the line, lifting it in. Leafs with 6 attackers as Vincent Dolphus joins. Richardson on the board, keeping it in. Olczyk sent it to the side of the goal. Langway will pump it on the boards, and icing is waved off. Less than a minute to go in the third period.
Well, that was a nice play by Langway. He took enough off that so it wouldn't go all the way down the ice for icing.
Olczyk shoots it in. Pete Peters, will he try to duplicate Mr. Hextall, but didn't on that occasion. Kept in at the point, on the boards, and kicked out at center ice by Ben Gustafson. 33 seconds left. Iafrate, a pass ahead and shot in by Fergus. Leafs roam in there. Peters back to the net, almost lost it. Here's Lehman trying to center his block. Christian with a chance to get it out, and he does so to play it to center, and it'll be a glove pass. And it should have been. No, it was waved off by Schick, but blown dead by Asselstein with 14 seconds remaining.
Well, sometimes the linesman has to bail the referee out on a call, and Ron Asselstein did that right there. That was a very obvious hand pass, and the Leafs will now take a timeout, and they'll get 6 semi-fresh skaters out to finish the last 14 seconds. There's plenty of time when there's a face-off in the neutral zone with 14 seconds to go if you win the draw. Try and listen in on the strategy. Ariel Riviere and George Armstrong getting a point across. They had 6 very attentive students. And at this end of Maple Leaf Gardens, I am sure Brian Murray's telling the center, Ben Gustafson, I think it'll be you win the draw, and we're in business. If you lose the draw, our wingers hold up their wingers, the center holds up the center, and we delay the forechecking because the Leafs are going to shoot it in if they win the draw.
There's the empty net. 14 seconds remaining. And the face-off is just on the other side of center ice.
Brian Murray's arguing about where the face-off is after that mix-up on the hand pass. And Rob Schick is saying, since center, and I'm sure Murray's saying, look, if you made the mistake, we didn't. Why are we paying for it? With a face-off here, but
that's where the glove pass was made, so actually where it made contact was further in, but
you think that is it?
Oops. Here's Iafrate lifting it in. 10 seconds left. Fergus on the board. Lehman couldn't get it in front. Capitals are going to get clear of it, and this one's going in the books. It'll roll wide to the net as the horn brings an end to the hockey game. And Pete Peters and company, the red-hot Washington Capitals, are now atop the Patrick Division.
You know, sometimes in an 80-game schedule, and tonight is a classic example of this, you have to know that you played well enough to win, even if you didn't. Now, that's a tough pill for the Leafs to swallow tonight, but they were as good as the Capitals tonight. They just couldn't get the goal to at least get them a point. But at least they can head into the room tonight feeling good about their performance, and maybe they can build on it for the next home game Saturday night.
So the final score is the Washington Capitals 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs 2. We'll have the Molson Cup 3-star selection in a moment.
Time for lunch at Red Lobster. Choose from 8 mouth-watering dishes at an incredible $4.95. We guarantee your favorite lunch served in 15 minutes or it's free.
Red Lobster for the people loving you.
Red Lobster presents Party Platters to Go. Before the big game, pick up platters of shrimp and crab claws ready to go in 1 hour. Great for any party, anytime.
Red Lobster for the people loving you.
Few people realize the power in their own hand, the hand that carries food to their mouth. Up to 35% of cancers in the world may be caused by diet. Too much fat is one reason. You don't have to cut out fatty foods completely. Just cut down as part of a well-balanced diet. In a sense, your life is in your hands. Cancer prevention, you can have a hand in it. For more information, contact the Canadian Cancer Society.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your Molson Cup 3 stars for this evening's game. The first star from the Washington Capitals, Rod Langway. The second star from the Toronto Maple Leafs, Boria Salming. And the third star from the Washington Capitals, goaltender Pete Peters.
Pete Peters made 28 stops tonight, a couple of big ones late in the game to protect the Washington Capitals' 1-goal margin. The winning goal turned out to be the shorthanded goal that was scored by Bengt Gustafson. John Bruce had 2, though didn't have much ice time, but a couple of early goals for the Washington Capitals. Daniel Marois and Boria Salming scored for the Maple Leafs, a game just as we might have expected between these two teams. The Capitals scored a 3-0 win at home last Friday and came here to win 3-2. Good hard-checking game, and the Capitals have used that style to go to the top of the Patrick Division. Again, the 3 stars are Langway, Salming, and Peters, reflecting the defensive nature of this interesting game. The overall standings For the Leafs in the Molson Cup, Ed Olczyk continues to lead Ken Reggett and Gary Lehman by 10 points. Again, the final score of tonight's game, Washington 3 and the Maple Leafs 2. You're watching Molson Leaf Hockey on the Global Television Network.
Referee Bill Friday drops the puck, and the Stanley Cup 1967 finals are underway.
Great hockey classics, now on video for fans to enjoy the incredible pace of the pre-expansion NHL.
This is Danny Gallivan at the Montreal Forum for the first game of the finals. This series shapes up as a goaltending duel, Vachon versus Sawchuk. And, of course, it's always a coaching battle when Toe Blake meets up with Punch Imlach.
Relive the excitement of hockey's greatest rivalry, the Leafs versus the Canadiens. Join Gallivan and Hewitt with their play-by-play of the 67 Stanley Cup playoffs. You will see the great stars, Keon, Beliveau, Bauer, Mahavlich, Richard, and Ellis. Just a few of the outstanding players of the 60s.
It's all over. The Toronto Maple Leafs have won the Stanley Cup.
Get your copy of the Stanley Cup 1967, only $19.95 plus handling. Use your credit card and call 1-800-387-3891. That's 1-800-387-3891.